Mic check. Michael check. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Each and every one of you, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. Sorry for the late start. I was chit-chatting with Jen and didn't realize what time it was. It was entirely my fault, and I feel very sad about that. Thanks for everybody who joined us for our members-only event last night. We had movie night. It was not super well attended, but my God, that man is adorable. Anthony from Company Retreat. I do want to expand our members-only events for people. I do want. It seems like there are a handful that like these member-only events that are the movie nights. But if there's stuff you guys want to see or do as members, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Jen with ideas. Preferably Jen, because I forget. I'm just looking right now on Discord. I haven't looked in forever. I have like 180 unread messages. So if you've sent me messages on Discord in the last 2 weeks, I deeply, deeply apologize for that. And maybe Jay After Dark. Well, listen, it was Jay After Dark last night. I was roasted last night, so I probably crossed some lines a few times last night. What are you laughing at?
That's not like it's it's different than any other member event.
Thank you. Thank you, Groovy Redhead. I felt like I had some quality dad jokes. I felt like they went underappreciated, but that's generally the case with dad jokes. We need more dads with the members. But those of you who joined us last night, it was fun. I loved the open forum Q&A. Unfiltered would be so fun. I would be happy to do an Ask Me Anything or open forum question and answer with members only. My only concern ever with the open forum stuff is just that some of those questions are a little bit more about my personal life, which, as you guys know, I don't share very much of, and so I just don't want a recording of that to exist. So with members only events, I'm more likely. And I'm more okay sharing my personal life with members only events because there's no recording out there and people who hate me won't try and use it to track people down. I am banned. I think I've told you guys this before. I am banned from Domino's. Did I tell you guys that story, Jen? How I ordered Domino's a few weeks ago, and it was almost to my house, and then they canceled the order.
Is it because of the one thing that happened?
Yeah, have I ever told that story?
I don't know that you were banned, but I know obviously about the.
I didn't know I was banned either, but I'll tell you guys a story of how I got banned from Domino's. A while back, there were people sending pizzas to my old house. And so I knew people were looking up my address, trying to find me, send pizzas to the house to intimidate me. And so I went in. There had been one from like Papa John's. There was one from Pizza Hut. There was one from like a local place. So I went into all these pizza places and I was like, I just explained what was happening. And I was like, could you give me the phone number of where the order came in from so I could file a police report? And everybody was cool about it. And then I went into Domino's. And by the way, when I tell this story, I need you to know that I am not proud of this. But it did happen, and it is why I'm banned. And it might just be that particular Domino's that I'm banned from. But I went into Domino's, and I started talking to this guy. I was like, is your manager here? He's like, I'm the manager. I was like, cool. So I explained everything that was going on, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to give you that number. Not, I can't give you that number. He said, I'm not going to give you that phone number. And I was like, wait, why would you not give me that number? And he's like, oh, I can't. It's against the law. I said, well, I know for a fact it's not against the law because the police told me that you guys can give me this information. And I was just right there. I pointed at Papa John's. I was like, I was right there, and they gave me the information. He's like, no, you didn't. I was like, what? He's like, you didn't do that. They would never do that. I used to work at that Papa John's. And I was like, no, they did, and you can give it to me. And then this other guy walked out who was actually the manager, and he's like, I'm actually the manager, and you need to get out of my store. I was like, what is going on? I was like, dude, you got to understand, like people are looking for me. I'm a parent. Like, I've got a daughter. I'm worried about the safety for my daughter, for myself, for my ex. I just don't want people to be harassed. We're just trying to get a phone number so that we can stop the harassment. I was like, they're not even going to my house. There's like other people now that are involved. It's going to the wrong house where I don't even live. And he's like, why are they doing that? And I explained, I was like, I work online. Like I'm a live streamer. So, and I work in politics. So people get upset. So they want to come after me. And he's like, well, have you thought about just getting a different job? what the fuck? I was like, no, dude, why would you say that? I'm not the problem here. Why would you not give me the phone number of the person who is harassing people? And he's like, you just need to leave. And I was like, so you're not going to give me the phone number? He said, no, I'm not going to give you the phone number. And as I walked out, there were three of them, and I only feel bad for one reason. I talked to two people. There were three people working there, and as I walked out, I pointed at them individually, and I said, "You're a bitch, you're a bitch, and you're a bitch." And then I walked out, and now I don't think I can order from Domino's anymore. And I do feel bad that I called the other guy a bitch. He was just making pizza. He didn't do anything. He didn't deserve any of that. The other two were absolutely bitches, and they deserved every bit of that. But the guy just making the pizza, I feel like caught a stray, and I didn't think that was very fair. So
Well,
I
at least,
believe I'm banned from Domino's.
I mean, thankfully Domino's is shit pizza, so
I
there's
think
that.
Domino's for like the chain pizzas is the best one.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right. But so I just was reading YouTube chat. Fun fact, and this, I'm glad you mentioned this, Chris. Oh no, is it Christ or Christ?
Is Christ here? I've been
Yeah,
waiting.
Christ is here.
I've been waiting. What's up, Christ?
All these dumb, I think you meant dumb, not dump. Dumb blue streamers use the same template. Can't wait to see where their funding comes from. Thank you for mentioning that. And so I can touch on where our funding does come from. We are crowdfunded. Christ. So we survive on the generosity of our viewers. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats all go towards funding this grift that'll make you mad. So I'm glad you brought that up.
That is a good segue into our show too. We'll get there. How just absolutely profoundly stupid MAGA supporters are. Every accusation is a confession. This is it's just wild. Like, you can just look this shit up. All of your content creators, all your biggest content creators are funded by billionaires. All of them. And none of the people on the left outside of and I don't even think it's not even billionaires. Like, you have what's that group? Unfuck America. Like, they're kind of funded by Democrats, which is okay. It's like, that's not illegal, but it's crazy. Like, you think that all these people on the right got rich because they get views? How is it that Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder and Benny Johnson all make way more money than people with the same amount of views on the left? Why do we think that is? It's crazy. Like, I don't even know. It's a dumb fucking accusation, especially when you can see how we get our money. And two, Jesus Christ, like, look in the mirror once in a while. Just cucks for the billionaires. That's the theme of the show today. Why you guys think that you need to be such cucks for rich people is crazy. What are you upset at us for? What in God's green earth would you be upset with me for? Christ, live from his single mom's basement. Yeah, cool. Make the same joke everybody else has made a million times. Like, I don't even get what is it that upsets you about our views?
Well, so I don't think you see the comments that are flagged by Automod.
Oh no.
So some of the things that he said was, all these young male, dude, you need to.
Fuck yeah, I'm young. Yeah, I'm young. Let's just leave it at that, Jen.
I think you meant blue streamers are all feminine. He said that. And this guy cucks out his boyfriend.
That's kind of funny.
So,
spoiler, my boyfriend's your dad.
And so, yeah, there's a bunch that are getting flagged by Automod. So, he young and stupid. You must be old and dumb. I'm starting to think this isn't Jesus. I'm probably not. Jesus in name only.
Yeah. Your dad abandoned you? I know, he did abandon me, that's actually a true story. My biological father did abandon me, which is why I now sleep with your dad. I have to be careful on TikTok. I can't say certain things. And for the record, Krista, the only reason I cuck him out is because his derriere is gaping, and I barely feel a thing anymore. And so it's more pleasurable for me to watch than participate. So there's, it's nothing personal, and your dad's a good guy. It doesn't hurt. I don't think it hurts him at all. He seems to be able to take a great deal of girth. Yeah, hot dog down a hallway. Thank you, Nikki. It's a lot like that. But Anyways, tell him I said what's up. Thanks for all the money. I guess we could say your dad funds me, and I appreciate that. Like Jen said, we are crowdfunded, though. So if you want to help us out and knock out that gift goal every single day, it'd be greatly appreciated. Illusion said, good morning, watermelon sugar thighs, thirsty Thursday. Ox Black said, tasty Christ tears, add them to the fountain. Goddamn, it's early for you to be this upset, by the way. We didn't even talk about anything yet, and you're just already upset. Just came in. Liberal, angry. Domino's pizza sucks anyways, says Brittany. Thank you. That makes me feel better. Then I ordered Papa John's, and it was terrible. Papa
I
John's
like
is
Papa
terrible.
John's, but I mean, maybe it depends on the place near you. Some are better than others, but
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Jen?
yeah. So if you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to join us for members only events, be a paid member on it wherever you're watching. Check out the link tree in the bio on most social media platforms. We've got merch days on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. If you guys disagree with our TP, you can actually come up and have a conversation. How you do that? You send me a message on Discord. My username on Discord is the same as the Venmo. So Jen with 2 N's, Dub with 2 B's, the number 1. Just send me a DM and I can bring it up and have a conversation. So if we can knock out that gift goal sooner rather than later, that would be dope. So yeah.
Oh wait.
If you agree,
Wait. What happened with your? You got a new boy last night, right in the middle of our members only event. Jen got a new boyfriend or teammate, teammate roster,
a new
player.
Yeah, like he gets a tryout, I guess, for the team. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
I don't know. Possibly.
What about old the guy that was negging you? Is he still around?
I mean, I chatted with him a little further. I replied to him at some point. I think he called me, like he tried to be like nice, like he backtracked a little bit on his giving me attitude. So I think he called me schmookums, which was
schnookums.
Kind of like
how did he spell it?
Or SCHNOOOKUMS.
This guy sucks so bad. I can't tell you how bad. I wish if you guys weren't there. This guy sucks so bad. He's just like trying to talk shit to flirt. I think it's his only trick, and we had a good time with that last night.
Yeah. So it's yeah. So he said, yeah, you want to see my cute sweet side? I'm like, you have a cute side?
He said that.
That's what he said initially. So I don't know. We'll see.
And so Schnookums was the. This guy sucks. Jen wouldn't let us. This is what's annoying about Jen. Let me tell you guys. Jen won't let us crowdsource the responses back to him. I think we should, because if it's not going anywhere, I think that the rejected people we should be able to get together for members only events and crowdsource our responses. And Jen won't do it. Just devastating.
Because going back to, there's weirdos on the internet. I don't want if someone has my phone numbers, I don't want necessarily to troll people who might actually be able to find out who I am in real life. So.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, but what does a mortician and an electrician have in common?
Mortician and electrician have in common. I don't know.
They're both shocked when they touch a live one.
Stupid. Oh my God, Namasi. I can't repeat that, but that is a hell of an insult. All right. I wanted to start off with something that I just loved. It has nothing to do with politics, but it's my favorite video on the internet currently. I don't know if you guys have seen this. This is out of Palm Beach, is the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. The ones that didn't do a goddamn thing about Jeffrey Epstein, I believe. And they were having like a surge where they were cracking down on distracted drivers. And this officer pulled over this fine lady for driving and holding a cell phone in her hand. And here you go.
Hello, ma'am. Hey, good morning. I'm Deputy Gasala with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. This is why you're being pulled over in the city of Lake Worth today. We're doing an operation for distracted driver, and you drove past me holding the phone with your right hand, manipulating that phone. I mean, I saw you.
I love every time she just hits him with the nub, just immediately hits him with this nub.
For distracted driver, and you drove past me holding the phone with your right hand, manipulating that phone. I mean, I saw you with the phone in your hand.
Not. So you want to just call this a day? Or?
I don't want to call it a day. You had a hand up manipulating
You just
the
said
phone.
my right hand.
Well, I thought I saw you with your right hand. You
so
had a
you
hand
didn't.
up. The right hand. I saw you manipulate.
So you didn't.
With the right hand, perhaps not, right? But I saw you.
You didn't see me with my right hand.
Okay, so are you
saying that you saw me with my right hand?
I know what I just said. I know what I just said. I'm asking you now. Did you or not have your phone on your hand?
I did not.
You did not have your phone in your hand?
I did not.
Hand to God, you didn't have your phone in your hand.
Hand to God.
The other hand to God, you don't have your phone in your hand.
Hand to God.
Cool. You have your driver's license, registration, and insurance with you?
That's about it. This has been thrown out by the court. I think today, right? Maybe today or yesterday. The judge immediately was like, "All right, you can't. You obviously can't prosecute this case." It just made me happy, and then this made me happy too. Totally different energy, and I've got to speed up Bernie. But this is just a reminder before we get into the cuckery of the GOP and the absolute dipshittery of MAGA, the base, all the voters, anybody who's still at this point is even remotely supporting the MAGA agenda and Donald Trump. There is nobody worse to vote for. There is nobody worse that you could support than MAGA. I don't care how bad the Democrats are, and some of them are really, really fucking bad. But there is nothing worse for the future of yourself, and your family than MAGA, and yet here we are. And once again, just going to show progressive Democrats, the handful of them that aren't corrupt, are going to show up and advocate for things that 95% of Americans agree with, and MAGA will just criticize Bernie. There'll be a bunch of comments about how Bernie's a multimillionaire and how he's a communist in the comments, while he's just very slowly speaking about a new piece of legislation that, again, if you took it out of Congress and you just went down the streets of America and you said, "Do you agree with this? Should this be the law?" Like, I don't know that there would be any pushback. It might be 100%. Maybe somebody, if we have any content creators here, here's an idea for you. Take the bullet points of this law, go outside, go down to somewhere in a city, and just talk to people and give them the bullet points and say, "Would you support this law?" I bet nobody tells you no.
The American political system is broken. It is corrupt. It is significantly owned by the billionaire class. Today, our government is well on its way to becoming a wholly owned subsidiary of the oligarchs. At a time when 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to pay for housing, healthcare, groceries, and other basic...
Can Nick Shirley do it? He could. You'd have to really dumb down the bullet points.
...necessities, it is why millions of Americans are giving up on democracy. They are struggling. They're trying to stay alive, and they see a government that works day and night, not for them, but for wealthy campaign contributors. Today, the average American gets one vote. Billionaires, however, through their super PACs, can spend unlimited amounts of money to elect the candidates of their choice and to defeat candidates who stand up for working.
How do you explain that, Keith Woody? When you say he is what he's preaching against, he's preaching against super PACs. He's preaching against billionaires who run super PACs. He doesn't run a super PAC. He's not a billionaire. He's not taking billionaire money to influence his vote. If this was Marco Rubio saying this exact same thing, you would be beating off. But because it's Bernie, and this is why we say it's a cult, it's just the messenger. Nobody disagrees with this. Is there a MAGA person here that thinks that you should have super PACs, that there should be money in politics, that billionaire, let's just take out billionaire, okay? Let's just say super PACs, unnamed people should be able to spend and create attack ads that are lies, shape narratives that aren't true, write legislation that they can push through the members of Congress that they bought and paid for. Do any of you think that this should be allowed? Can you drop the partisanship for like 1 second and forget that you hate Bernie Sanders for whatever reason and just listen to what he's saying? Do you really think we should have money in politics? Don't you want elections not to be corrupt? Don't you want politics to not be corrupt? Why in the world, when somebody's like, even if Bernie was all the things that you say he's preaching against, if you support the bill, then he couldn't be those things. So why on God's green earth would you take this time to criticize him instead of supporting the bill? This is why America's fucking broken. This bill makes perfect sense. You all agree with it. Everybody agrees with it. The only reason you're not going to support it is because it's Bernie Sanders.
Families or a just foreign policy. Does anyone in America really believe that our democracy is supposed to be about Elon Musk, the richest man in the world?
Politicians won't always be corrupt. Politicians will be far less corrupt if we take money out of politics.
Spending $280.
How long has Bernie been taking money and in office? Well, Bernie has been in office for 163 years, and he has never taken corporate money. You should look that up, Keith. Look it up, Keith. Right now. Look up, does Bernie Sanders take corporate money? Google it. Do you want us to do it for you?
$1 million to elect Donald Trump as president. Does anyone really believe that it is acceptable that in the 2024 presidential election, the 100 wealthiest people in the country could spend $2.6 billion to elect the candidates of their choice? Does anyone believe we are in anything resembling a true democracy?
I think one thing they don't talk about very often is like it's $1.6 billion that they spent to influence elections. What if that $1.6 billion instead they used to pay their employees? All this money that's being poured into politics, forget the corruption, forget the fact that like politicians are getting that money. That like it's annoying for all of us that politicians wind up getting rich. I think everybody agrees that they shouldn't, like it's not only is it annoying, it's obviously corrupt that politicians get rich. But what if we took this money and paid the workers instead? What if the billionaire class and these corporations weren't allowed to influence politics? Where would that money go? Or they could pay their taxes. Well, we know they're not going to pay their taxes. So let's give them an option. Force them to pay people more. Say you can pay taxes or you can pay people more. This is it's so simple. And it's such a byproduct of America that the most principled people in politics are generally the most hated. And the least principled are the ones that everybody loves.
When in the 2026 cycle, right now, AI, crypto, and APAC aligned super PACs will be spending many, many hundreds of millions of dollars to protect their interest. Here is the political reality of today. A reality that we just...
Taco Truck say, I agree with that, but it will never happen. Yeah, but, and this is like, I see Drewski, I see Taco Truck. This is the point. When you say shit like that, that's why it never happens. It's not just you, it's everybody. That's like the apathy of Americans. Oh, well, it'll never happen. Why won't it ever happen? Because if you had Bernie Sanders, what state are you from? Let's Taco Truck. What state are you from? Well, this plays, and I'll look for it, and we'll talk back and forth.
Saw yesterday in the election in Kentucky, when Congressman Thomas Massey, somebody who I have very little...
Arizona. Okay, we live in the same state. This is a good example too. So I voted both for Mark Kelly and for Why do I never remember his name? What is my other senator's name? I can see his dumb comb-over face. I'd never remember his name, whatever his name is. It's crazy that I don't remember his name. Ruben Gallego. Thank you, Ruben Gallego. I voted for both of them. If Bernie Sanders was up against either one of them, I would vote for Bernie Sanders. If I was a Republican and I had the choice between Bernie Sanders and I guess it was Carrie Lake, I would have voted for Bernie Sanders. The problem is that we don't vote for people who want to get rid of money out of politics. You got to get rid of your partisanship. And like, what's a bigger issue than this? Taco Truck. By the way, if you have a taco truck, DM me. I'll come visit you at your taco truck. I love taco trucks. But what's a bigger issue than this? And this is the problem that we have, is that you take somebody like Bernie Sanders, whose policies, I don't even know why anybody disagrees with the policies he puts up anyways, because they just make sense. But instead of having your loyalty to a party and what the party stands for, look at the politician and vote for people who want money out of politics. It doesn't happen because people put this way down on their priority list. And I think maybe perhaps that people don't recognize, that's like, I don't think people recognize how big of a problem this is, like how much this affects everything. any other issue that you care about more than getting money out of politics, like this also affects those issues. So you said border and abortion. Well, who do you think was fighting to make sure that undocumented workers still could get in this country? Or a lot of rich people that wanted undocumented workers in here so they could pay them under the table. Lot of people. Get that money out of politics. You want the people's voice to be heard? Then get rid of the oversized influence that billionaires have.
In common with politically, was defeated by $9 million in contributions from AIPAC and $7 million from Trump mega donors. And what was the great crime that Massey committed that gendered so much super PAC money in opposition to him? Well, he opposed the war in Iran, and so do the vast majority of the American people. He demanded that the Epstein files be opened, which is what the American people have wanted, and he refused. What a crime, what an outrage, to be a rubber stamp for Donald Trump. Let's be honest. The reality is that any candidate today who stands up to the AI industry... I
don't agree with that. Taking money out of politics is making it harder to vote out incumbents. Well, tell that to Graham Plattner. Graham Plattner's own party is fundraising against him. He doesn't have near as much money as Susan Collins. Grassroots. One. What happened to Thomas Massey? That was an incumbent. He got taken out by establishment money. It doesn't make it harder to, like, if nobody has money, right, then it wouldn't be harder to vote out an incumbent. The reason it's hard to get rid of an incumbent is because of the amount of money that they already have and that they can already spend. Take the spending out of politics. Don't allow them to run commercials. Make the elections federally funded. They have to debate. They have to provide policy. It's pretty easy, honestly. Like it's honestly an easy solution. Tons of other countries do it.
The crypto to AIPAC and other special interests will be hit with an onslaught of TV ads and social media attacks paid for by the richest people in this country. As all of us know, 16 years ago, by a 5-4 vote, the Supreme Court in the Citizens United case issued one of the most disastrous...
Okay, United States, let me try this one more time. If you take money out of politics, then the war chest of money also goes away. So the incumbents lose too. It's not like you say take money out of politics and the incumbents get to keep that money. It's gone. You get rid of super PACs. It's gone. No more ads. You take away everybody's access to that money. Is that a weird argument?
Decisions in the history of our country. Since Citizens United, billionaires and large corporations have poured huge amounts of money into the political process and in return are getting policies that serve...
Chumba, just to help you out here, this guy's not behind Vermont's 48% property tax increase in 6 years because he works for the federal government. He represents you in the federal government. Your state and local taxes are decided by your local representatives. So please don't blame Bernie for what your state and local legislature does.
Their interests at the expense of working families, the environment, and a decent foreign policy. That is a major reason why the very, very rich in America are getting richer, while working families are struggling. If we're going to create a government that works for all and not just the 1%, we have to end Citizens United. We have to get super PACs out of elections. And in my view, we have to move to public funding of elections. Today, the legislation that Representative Lee and I are introducing begins to do just that. Specifically, the Abolish Super PACs Act would limit individual super PAC contributions to $5,000. Billionaires would not be able to pour huge amounts of money into super PACs. And it would end the era of unlimited spending and put power back into the hands of the people. Way back in 1933, Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis made a very profound statement.
That's wrong, with Bernie being the only person in Vermont. He has both his own federal representation and the entire Vermont government. You're right. I'm sorry.
Said, quote, "We can have democracy in this country, or we can have great wealth concentrated in the hands of a few, but we cannot have both," end quote. What Brandeis said back then was correct. It is even more accurate today. For the sake of our democracy, for the sake of an economy that works for working people and not just the very rich, we must ban super PACs and get big money out of politics.
Yep. Just like we predicted, though. Bernie Sanders can come up with the most sensible policy on earth, and MAGA Republicans will figure out a way to argue against it because he's Bernie Sanders. That's actually why we're fucked. Taka said, got a sub out of me. Keep it up, spreading the truth. Thank you, my friend. And like I said, if you have a taco truck, let me know. I'll come visit. All right, moving on from my outline there. Uh, Trump had another one of those insane cabinet meetings, and I was going to show clips, and I had clips, and then I found this montage CNN did. This is North Korea. I'm only showing this because it's weird. And I feel like MAGA, when you're here, I think you need to see this. This is fucking bizarre behavior, and it doesn't help when we say that you're in a cult. First of all, every time they have a cabinet meeting, there's some new hat. They have branded merch at all these cabinet meetings. We're in an office that's completely decorated by gold now, and every one of these people is instructed that when they speak, what they first have to do is glaze Donald Trump and give him credit for everything. And it's really, really fucking weird.
Thank you for your leadership, sir. The fact that we have dedicated presidential leadership is really what's made this possible.
President Trump, under your leadership, we've opened up lease sales on public lands. You turned Venezuela from a sanctioned adversary into a strategic ally in 45 minutes. Never happened in history before.
We are more resilient to energy price fluctuations due to your energy dominance agenda.
That one's my favorite. We were more resilient to energy price fluctuations, meaning other countries got fucked a little bit harder than we did when you started the war in Iran. They're calling it fluctuations. The prices fucking skyrocketed. And you have Scott Bessent, by the way, George Soros' protege. Just need to remind you guys of that. George Soros is the boogeyman, but for whatever reason, Trump chose his right-hand man to run his economic policy. Not sure why. This is so sick.
Resilience and prosperity have been the marks of your second term.
There's only one man over the course of both presidency who has stood up and said they will never get a nuclear weapon. You created the...
Actually, every president of my lifetime has said Iran will never get a nuclear weapon. They all said that. And that's why this is kind of like pathetic. Of course, everybody has said that. And Iran never got a nuclear weapon. Trump did the exact same thing in his first term that Biden did in words. But indeed, after Trump pulled out of the nuclear agreement with Iran, they started enriching uranium more. Of all the presidents of my lifetime, Donald Trump is the one who accelerated Iran's nuclear program the most.
Conditions to ensure the American people and the world are safeguarded from this generational threat.
Mr. President, you have made us a nation of builders again. You're leading us to the greatest economy that the world has ever known.
We're going to get to the economy in a minute. It's in fucking shambles. It is in fucking shambles. Somebody asked, why do they do this? They do this because they know. Here's what, this is a guess. I have to suspect that some of these people are smart. I know for a fact that some of them are intelligent people. We've seen them in other aspects of their life where they're very intelligent. What they know is, I would guess, is that when they heap praise on Donald Trump, they shield themselves from criticism from Donald Trump. They sit in these meetings. They tell him about only the good things. They tell him it was all because of him, and then he loves them. And then he never looks into what's actually going on. You'll see this regularly, like with Pam Bondi. And then once somebody gets fired, it's because it gets covered in the news. There'll be some, a Wall Street Journal will come out with a story, or with Pam Bondi, it just became overwhelming, and Trump had to get rid of her. But I think what they're doing is they're just shielding themselves by inflating his ego. All he wants to do is be told that he's great. He openly says that. He openly has said something along the lines of, like, I don't care if you're a bad person or not. I don't care if you're an evil person or not. As long as you like me, like, I'll have your back. As long as you say good things about me, I'll have your back. They all know that.
Everywhere I go, please thank the president for putting us back on track. They thank you. They love you.
Sure, that for sure happens.
The New York Times recently reviewed more than a dozen hours of these cabinet meetings and found that at least 1 in 6 sentences spoken by Trump's cabinet members offered the president some sort of praise.
Every 6 sentences, just like blowing him. This is one of my favorite people, Jim Stewartson, who has done a great job with Donald Trump's fascism and covering that. They played this clip, but I want to just read it instead. And you, MAGA, for those of you who are upset with me right now, I need you to tell me what the fuck he's talking about. This is the actual transcript of what Donald Trump said in a cabinet meeting yesterday. DC is looking beautiful. The fountains are almost all open. We had 28 of them, and we have one in particular, a very long lake, we call it. They are reflecting lake between the Lincoln Monument. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. You take a look at between Lincoln and Washington, you have the longest, like 2,400 feet long. That's longer than the tallest building in the world if you set it on your side. And it's almost 200 feet wide. And it was built in 1922. And from 1920 to 21, it really never worked, if it was built in 1922, I think we might know why from 1920 to 1921, it didn't work. I think it's possible because it wasn't built yet. It never really worked. It always leaked. And it was a problem about things. It was a problem about things, guys. And hundreds of millions was spent. The Biden administration and the Obama administration spent hundreds of millions of dollars trying to get it to work, and they failed, and we'll be spending, you'll give me a number, but I think that it's very low numbers, like in the number that we originally talked about. When we cleaned it, we fumigated it. That we had 10 major truck dumpsters of garbage taken out. Can you believe it? A friend of mine came in, very substantial person from Germany. Want to see the Washington Monument? I wanted to see the Lincoln Memorial. He said, I look, but that horrible reflecting pond is disgusting. It's filthy, dirty, and disgusting. I said, really? I drove down. I said, Secret Service, I said, Secret Shares was taken dry. And we went down and I said, that's terrible. And for the most part, it didn't work. I mean, they wouldn't even have water in there. And when they did, it was just dirty, filthy water that leaked out. And we got to work on it. And they were supposed to cost almost $400. Think of it, $400 million, because it's like putting the skin on a skyscraper. But bigger, much bigger, many skyscrapers. You could almost say other than for the world. Remember when Charlie in It's Always Sunny writes a political campaign speech? The fuck is he talking about? So I think of it. The world's tallest skyscraper is shorter than 2,400 feet. So we went to work. And over the years, I built hundreds of pools. I built them every time I built them. I always like to build the Olympic-sized swimming pools. And I was very aware of swimming pool. What goes into making a swimming pool? It's not as simple as people think. You never wanted to leak. You want a beautiful surface. I said, I have an idea, Doug. We sat down. I said, let's take that long thing where we're going to fix it with concrete, which leaks, concrete, all sorts of other materials that all leak and don't look good. They're gray. And swimming pool. I have a swimming pool right up the road. I built it 22 years ago. It's perfect. I said, does it ever leak, though? It's good contractors. I actually called it a couple of the contractors, got some ideas from them, and I gave it to Doug. And Doug's done an unbelievable job. And so they were going to spend maybe $400 million. I don't know. You never know with cost overruns and everything. But it was going to take years to build. 3 years, 4 years, and we'll have it done before July 4th, substantially before July 4th. If we didn't have such a bad weather the last 4 or 5 days, it could have been almost done. We have to. You can't do this substance in the rain. And what they did is they cleaned it. They took out, as I said, more than 10 dumpsters of garbage, shovels. It was disgusting. Well, every corner had massive amounts of, I guess that's the way the tide goes, but at massive amounts of garbage, when we steam cleaned it, we then sandblasted it, and then we pebble blasted. That's a bigger version of sand. We made the surface as good as it can be. Now we're going to cover it with the most beautiful blue, very thick. You think of it as a very sophisticated form of rubber. No leaks, no problems, and it's beautiful. It's called American Flag Blue. That was the color we chose. Huh? Where'd MAGA go? We run you out? We'd be worse off with Kamala. Yeah. For sure. Things are going really well. Things are going really, really well. Nurse, he's out again. All right. This was an awesome piece by Zateo.
What do you
about
make?
15 minutes, but they had on Dr. Cindy Harmon Jones. She's a senior lecturer at Western Sydney University, recently published a new study about the cognitive dissonance of Trump supporters and what it would take for them to abandon the MAGA cult. For those of you who are MAGA here, who are doing the like, Kamala, she's talking, this is about you. And this is hard. This is hard. Somebody who grew up in a cult, I can tell you that it's really hard when people are correctly describing your cult as a cult, and you don't believe it's a cult because you're in a cult. And when you're in a cult, you don't know that you're in a cult. But this was really, really fascinating. And shout out to Zateo Media. We'll join you. We'll come over with Zateo if you want us to come join. Here you go.
Of the MAGA.
Just before I play that, just a reminder, I'll check these, but we are crowdfunded, so if you guys could help us knock out the gift goal by the end of the live, that'd be greatly appreciated. That's what we need every day to keep the lights on here. We also understand that for the next 6 to 8 weeks, people kind of check out of politics. Everybody in Congress is on vacation. A lot of you are you have your kids home. You're on summer vacation, so I appreciate it. And sorry that we may be a little obnoxious in the next 6 weeks about fundraising. Is what we have to do to keep the lights on. Lindsay said, Trump really is Charlie Kelly, but somehow smells worse. Devastating.
Base. Is it a cult?
There is quite a bit of research showing that.
So, you began this in university. Cindy, thanks so much for joining us on the show. You began this study of Trump supporters, I believe, back in 2019, 2 months before Trump was impeached for the first time. What made you come up with this study, pursue this study? What were you hoping to reveal?
Well, I was very confused about how Trump supporters do justify their support for him, given all the accusations that have been made toward him. And I decided that I would just ask them, So we recruited participants for a different study, but in the midst of that study, I asked them a couple of questions. One was, why do you support Trump? And the other was, given the accusations against him of sexual misconduct and sexual assault and criminal
actually, Andy, I escaped a cult and I was a Republican. And when I escaped the cult was about the same time Donald Trump came around. I was working for the Republican Party. And I recognized in Donald Trump and the behavior of his followers is the exact same type of behavior as the people in my cult who all love Donald Trump. My cult loves Donald Trump. Huge fans of Donald Trump. Didn't grow up a Democrat. I found, and I'm not a Democrat for the record. Just because I'm criticizing Trump doesn't mean we won't criticize Democrats here too. But yeah, MAGA is a cult.
Activity. Why? How do you justify your
Thank you, IMFRCD, for the Antifa dues.
Then I read all of their responses. These were just open-ended responses, and categorized them into several categories.
Let me just cover this too. Gigo said, in my opinion, both sides are stupid. Both are brainwashed. Not in the same way. It's very different. Pay attention to this. Form your opinion after. There's a 15-minute video. Wait until you watch the video, and then let's see what your opinion is.
And the main reason that people said they continued to support him is simply that they don't believe the accusations. So they said, I think these accusations are false and fake. They're fake news. And so that was the most common response.
You're a psychologist. When you look at those responses, is that the response of someone in denial? Is that the response of someone who is trying to retroactively justify a bad decision they made, i.e., oh, well, shit, did I vote for someone who was protecting pedophiles, in which case I'm going to say I don't believe anything about his relationship with Epstein? Or is it someone who is a true believer who says, no, I refuse to believe anything from the media?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I came at this from the perspective of cognitive dissonance. So I've done quite a lot of research on cognitive dissonance, which says that when people have two beliefs that conflict with each other, one of them means that the other one can't be true, then they should feel uncomfortable. And
I think that we often undervalue the term cognitive dissonance, and I think we overuse the term cognitive dissonance. And her explaining that makes sense. Like, I'm somebody that has ADHD. Some of you have ADHD. You might be familiar with like rejection sensitivity disorder. It's where the information presented to you, or the situation presented to you, or the decision presented towards you, your brain registers that as a threat. And it activates the fight or flight in you, even when it's not a threat. Like, so for me with ADHD, sometimes it's as simple as like doing a task that I need to do. Like, I actually need to do this task. I want to do this task, but it can register as actual pain or rejection, right? There's if you have somebody in your life that you care about that rejects whatever, either you or you feel rejected, or your ideas are rejected, that can register as real pain. And you have to work, like you have to understand that about yourself. You have to recognize that that's part of your condition and you have to overcome that. Cognitive dissonance is a real like psychological discomfort. And you feel that when like your beliefs or behaviors or attitudes like clash. And so what we have with Trump, and the reason we say it operates like a cult is because on the one hand, you have all of this information. And on the other hand, you have Donald Trump saying the opposite of this information. And you've chosen to support Donald Trump. And you can't do both because they're saying opposite things. And the cognitive dissonance is that discomfort that you are feeling. And you make a choice to ignore the information and stay with Donald Trump. You make that decision to ignore red flags or like obvious misinformation, and you discount it. And then in order to protect yourself, you cut off that information stream. When I was growing up at Mormon, that was the cult that I was in, we were told that any sort of information that was critical of the church, whether it be the history of the church or the church at the time, that was actually just people who hated you and who saw the truth, and they were discomfort, like they had discomfort, so they needed to lie about you. And we were instructed and encouraged not to engage with that. We were not to engage with anti-Mormon rhetoric. In fact, anybody who said anything negative about the Mormon church was then labeled anti-Mormon, and they became persona non grata. You did not listen to that person was evil. And that's what a lot of you have done, MAGA, with any sort of criticism leveled at Donald Trump. The media, everything's fake news. Thomas Massey, rhino. Mitt Romney, rhino. Jeff Flake, rhino. Everybody who has ever criticized Donald Trump from within is a rhino, and everybody who is criticized from outside of the party is just a hater with Trump derangement syndrome. Whether you like it or not, whether you think you're in a cult or not, it is verifiably true that you operate like a cult. You don't have arguments against these things. It is simply, you are all haters, you have Trump derangement syndrome, you are crazy, you cannot be believed. That's why, generally speaking, we don't get a lot of people come up here and debate things with me, though you're welcome to come up here. If you want to debate any of this, you message Jen on Discord. It's JENNDUBB1, and we can bring you up live on the air. We don't get that, but what I generally see in the chat is personal attacks or a deflection or some sort of whataboutism. But this is this is cognitive dissonance. It is what you're doing. You're doing it in the chat right now. And if there's any of you who are open-minded at all to perhaps I've been duped, I want you to pay attention to the responses in the chat. I want you to pay attention to what she's saying. Because the first step in realizing you're in a cult is being open to the idea that you can be manipulated. And you can. And no matter who you are, you can be manipulated. You can find yourself in a cult. Nobody's immune. But it takes steps. And when you start distancing yourself from reality, and I will say this for people on the left, oftentimes, recently, Ashley St. Clair is a great example. Some people on the left have been upset that we share videos of Ashley St. Clair or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Thomas Massey or Tucker Carlson. Some people don't like that. You are participating in that same cognitive dissonance. Now, because like the way where my position comes from, it doesn't operate as a cult. There's not like top-down messaging. I'm not loyal to anybody. I would say that it's not a cult. I don't know that we all come from the same place, but for some of us, our ideology can imitate a cult, and our cognitive dissonance shields us from information that is useful or information that we may not normally get access to, or a different perspective of how that information is being consumed. So this isn't just right or left, but this particularly is talking about MAGA, the cult. So if you're on the fence at all, if you're not just a bot or like dyed in red paint, think about it. Think about, like, is this operating as a cult? Do I reject information before I know the information? Do I see the source and reject it? If you see the source and immediately reject it, no matter where you are, that's cognitive dissonance. You have trained your brain in some ways to say, this source I will never believe. They cannot be believed. And then how do you sort through what's true at that point? Then you're just then you're just headed down a path where like only certain people can tell you things. That's a problem.
want to change their beliefs so that they come closer to each other, right? And so one thing that we did to try to get at that question of whether they really don't believe the accusations or whether they're just trying to justify it was we asked them, does it make you uncomfortable to read about these things that he's been accused of? And the more uncomfortable they were, the more they said they don't believe it. So I took that to mean that they, if they really didn't believe it, I don't think it would make them uncomfortable.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
So they
I
do.
think it is.
And it's interesting when we talk about the dissonance. And one thing that's always jumped out to me is Republican voters, conservative Christian voters, evangelicals, spent years telling us that character mattered, that the president's private life mattered. They went after Bill Clinton over his, relationship with Monica Lewinsky and other affairs, etc. But when it came to Donald Trump, I believe, according to your study, they say stuff like, we care about his policies, not his personal life.
Yeah. So that was the other two common reasons were we care about his policies, not his personal life. As long as he's doing a good job.
William, will you just be specific which accusations you're talking about? I'm not sure. We're not making any accusations right here, so I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Job as president, it doesn't matter. And then the third one that was also really common was other people do the same or worse. So I'm sure he's done some bad things, but yes, what about it?
Drewski, I've told you. Message Jen Dub1, JENNDUBB1 on Discord. Jen, will you say something? Just say hi. If you're here. She might not be listening. You can come up here and talk. Message Jen Dub1, JEN. It's the same as the Venmo username. We can bring you up. We use Discord for our calls. You can come right onto the show. I say this every single day. Jen just messages something. All right, never mind.
Exactly. But other politicians and wealthy men do the same or worse. And so that's, that's okay. Yeah, but that was really part of my inspiration for it, is that I was raised very religious. I'm not religious anymore, but I was raised Southern Baptist. And, when Trump came along, that was everything that my parents hated, right? Sexual immorality and lying.
Same. Like, I was Mormon. You don't have any sex outside of marriage, either before marriage or during the marriage or even after the marriage. Everything I was taught to believe as a kid, Trump was the opposite of. And it was fucking crazy to watch the people around me with these alleged morals just ignore all of that to then side with Trump. And a lot of them wound up having problems with the Mormon church because the leader of the Mormon church at the time, who was a heart surgeon, said that you should be vaccinated. And they by the way, they believe he talks to God, like that God gives him this stuff. And they were like, nah, can't be part of this anymore. I'm not getting vaccinated. Roly Poly Bolo said, anyone who says both sides should shut the fuck up and get out of the way. It's such an easy, lazy take and offers nothing. Yeah, I'm with you, dude. That's maybe the most infuriating take. Both sides are bad. We're screwed either way. All right, leave. We don't need you.
Cheating and yet my mother supported him, and it was so crazy to me that I just wanted to find out, ask other Trump supporters.
What happens when I don't believe Fox News? Then you've made it.
How do you? And many of them, like you said, they are fundamentalist Christians. They claim to think that morality is very important.
Did you ask your mother to join your study group?
No, actually, my mother has passed away a few years ago.
I'm so sorry.
But I did ask her back in the, grab them by the genitals days, how, and she said, oh, that's just locker room talk. All men talk like that. And my brother was there at the time, and he said, no, I don't.
I do have to tell you, I was a college athlete. I grew up an athlete. I played multiple sports. There is some shit said in locker rooms. I can honestly tell you that at no point in any of my career, and I have a lot of MAGA adjacent, or I have MAGA people that I'm around all the time. I've sat around at bars with them, drinking late into the night, and in all the they say some fucked up things. In all the time I've been around men, I have never, not one single time, heard any man in my life brag about sexually assaulting someone. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm sure that it does. But when people dismissed that as locker room talk, Bro, you were bragging about sexual assault. And the craziest part about the locker room talk is then it turned out that there were multiple accusations of him doing that exact same thing. And people had accused him of doing exactly what he bragged about doing. And they accused him of that before that tape ever came out. That is cognitive dissonance. There is no other scenario where somebody's not in politics and multiple women accuse him of just walking up to them, automatically start kissing them, and do whatever you want. Multiple women accused him of literally walking up to them, pinning them against the wall, kissing them. They all say the exact same thing, like shoving his tongue down my throat and then groping me. And then, unbeknownst to him, he's being recorded, and he brags about doing that exact same thing. In no other scenario would millions of Americans be like, no, dude, he probably didn't do it. The only reason that he got away with that was cognitive dissonance, was because he was involved in politics and you wanted to continue to support him. There's no other scenario where you would have sided with him. That's the only one. Or if he was a religious leader.
None of my friends talk like that. Men don't. And then she just kind of hand waved like, oh, don't be silly.
Liking this video? Now don't just watch. Hit like, share, and subscribe. And tap the bell so you never miss a video or live show. But if you want early access to exclusive...
Did you see any changes in Trump voters' attitudes based on the impeachment of Trump or the insurrection?
Just in the final one that was after the...
You must have been a shitty athlete. Well, that was pretty good. I played in college. You're talking like you were there to hear it firsthand. We all heard it, Nelson. We all heard the comments. It's not alleged. It's on a recording. Trump admitted that he said it. This is cognitive dissonance. Attack the messenger and not the claim. Everybody, we all heard it. You can hear it right now. You can go play it right now. It's on tape. He admitted that he said it. This is exactly what we're talking about. This is why we say it's a cult. All of this stuff happened. It's verifiable. You're saying it didn't happen. That's why we say it's a cult. You don't want to believe reality. You won't even look at the information. You just want to keep believing what you believe. It's provably true that he said that. It's provably, he apologized for saying it. It's the only thing, I think it's the only thing I've ever heard him apologize for. I can't think of anything else he's ever apologized for. And he's like, it was a lapse in judgment. But there were dozens of women who accused him of doing that exact same thing. And those accusations predated the Access Hollywood tape. So the accusation came first. Later on, Trump admitted that he did it. Right? In that tape. And then came out and was like, oh, actually, I was just joking. Sure.
The impeachment, the vote to impeach him, there were a small number of participants that time.
Jen, will you find the Access Hollywood tape for me? I'll play it in a second.
It's like 13% who said that was it. You know, that I supported him, but once he did the attack on the Capitol, I don't anymore. So there were just a few at that point who seemed to be peeling away, although who knows if they came back around to support him again later. But yeah, it did seem like that had affected some of them.
So we're going to continue to cry about it for 2 minutes. That's not what you're missing the point, S. Paul. The point is here, what we're talking about right now is how MAGA operates like a cult. And the reason I wanted to show this, and we'll get to it later in the show, it'll become more clear. It's because it operates as a cult, and because the fealty and loyalty to Donald Trump is so strong, you are missing that he is decimating our country right now, that he is destroying the future of our country. He's leading us into what is going to be a disastrous financial collapse, where he and his friends are positioning themselves to come out of it even more rich than ever. And we can't get you to pay attention to it because you love him so much. And what you can say he's a clown, but you just said like he's a clown. No, he's not a clown. He's a rapist. He's a sexual predator. He's a convicted felon. He's a con man. He's a traitor. He's treasonous. That's what he is. Not a clown. Not like, oh, he's kind of a goofy guy. No, he's a sex pest criminal, financial criminal, treasonous, traitorous, trash, dumb guy. And it's so obvious. It's literally so obvious to the entire world. To anybody who didn't vote for him or anybody who's not like consumed by MAGA rhetoric, it is obvious that he's one of the most corrupt and frankly incoherent corrupt individuals of all time. That's what we're saying. Don't tell us to keep crying about this. We're the ones that are going to fight. We're the ones that are getting the message out there. You are the problem. What are you going to do? Cry about it? Shut the fuck up. Then you go somewhere. Go somewhere else. If you're not worried about the future of our country, go somewhere else. What do you want us to do? Well, you should all just sit there and let it happen like the rest of us. That's what we do. Now, this might wake up one person today. Almost nobody listening to this that's MAGA this is going to change anything for them, but there might be somebody on the fence. And as somebody who recognizes that you can change your belief system when you accept that you might be being lied to, I feel like I have a responsibility, or at least like an internal drive to give other people that opportunity. So that's what this is today. This is selfish for me, probably. I don't know that our audience really even likes this that much. I don't know if you guys like this that much. They're MAGA. I'm sure you don't. This is for me. I want you to know that you can stop being a fucking dipshit, that you can learn to think for yourself, and that you can learn to recognize patterns of abuse and corruption. But first, you have to get rid of the loyalty and the fealty to an individual.
The January 6th insurrection has always been the big one for me, which is how can you still support him after your lying eyes and ears showed you an insurrection, showed you what he did.
Right.
You're supposed to be the people who support law and order, back the police, back the blue, and yet they still came back to vote for him. And I suspect, is that more confirmation bias? Is that more looking for evidence? People, I hear a lot of Trump supporters say, oh, it was a Fedsurrection. Oh, it was the FBI. And I feel like they're scrabbling to look for any kind of theory or evidence that will excuse their guy.
Yeah, that was really mind-blowing to me because with the other accusations, I could see how they could say, "Where's the proof?"
Yeah.
It's easy to accuse people of things, but show me the evidence. But in that case, it was televised. We all saw it happening. But I think.
Thank you, Sav, formerly Savage Mama, Antifa Deuce. All right, here's the video. Here's the Access Hollywood tape. We'll pause that for a second. Warning, this video contains language that some may find offensive. So as we set this up again, at this point, I think it was 11 people at this point had accused Trump of doing exactly what he's going to brag about here. He doesn't know that his mic is hot. He doesn't know that this is being recorded. And then here's what he says.
Moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it.
Whoa.
I did try and fuck her. She was married.
It's huge news there.
No, Nancy. Yeah. No, this was marriages, and I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch.
Now, for the record, this is exactly what he did to E. Jean Carroll. She was looking for clothes at Bergdorf's. Is that what it's called? And Trump's like, I'll take you shopping. This is the exact same thing. And then he says, I moved on her like a bitch. I used my money, said I would buy her stuff, and then I used that as my in to move on her. Which is exactly what he did to E. Jean Carroll.
But I couldn't get there, and she was married. And all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look. I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything.
Pull the ham.
Hello, how are you? Hi.
All right. We good on that now? Now you've seen it. I guess you can try and dismiss it all you want, but he bragged about doing exactly what he was accused of. And then you're like, no, he definitely didn't do that. He definitely didn't do that. This is just more lies from the left-wing media.
I think that another thing with, I don't have direct evidence of this, but Trump supporters do have a big media ecosystem that that reduces the dissonance for them, I think, because they're getting these messages from, Fox News and whatever influencers that they might listen to that are all kind of putting out this message that helps them to give another explanation for these events. So with the January 6th, their influencers are telling them. It was just a guided tour of the Capitol. It was all perfectly
That was a
harmless.
good point. Billy Bush lost his job over that. Trump got elected instead. Well, if only Billy Bush's bosses were evangelical Christians. Unfortunately, those leftist bosses didn't think that that was very cool. But the evangelical Christians, they loved it.
And yeah, so I think that
and if you're a Trump
really
supporter
helpful when you have dissonance and you have somebody kind of like reducing it for you.
Yes, exactly. You're looking at somebody gives you a perfect justification to carry on supporting Trump, even though you know you shouldn't.
And not just one person, but they can get that from multiple sources of,
And you list in your study multiple justifications that these Trump voters offered for supporting Trump. For example, he's been put through hatred by his insane political enemies. Every president has been involved in some unscrupulous activity we don't hear about. He probably did some things in business that all wealthy businessmen do, but they weren't illegal. What was the most surprising justification you came across from some of your study participants, do you think?
I'm not. I was interested to see that they.
I think you're proving it there. Like people voted for Trump because the Democrats are lunatics. Yeah, but you don't know why they're lunatics. You just were told that. That's the cognitive dissonance. Yes, Trump is flawed, but at least he's not a Democrat. I'm sorry. What policy makes you more concerned than sexual assault? What policy of Hillary Clinton's made you more nervous than putting a sexual criminal in the White House? What policy was it? You don't know. It's just that's how easy it is. Oh, yeah, he's bad, but left is bad. You're doing exactly what we said. That you like the cognitive dissonance and the cult apparatus tells you that you can criticize, but everybody outside of your group is actually worse. So nobody's perfect, but they're worse. But why? Why are they worse?
Often use the language, use the phrases that Trump uses, or, by saying things like fake news or so it seemed like they were, getting those messages and kind of like parroting them back. So that was something I found interesting.
Well, she said she called MAGA deplorable because they followed him, but she never ratted on him about being a pedophile, and that's also concerning me. With all due respect, I've never seen any evidence that Hillary Clinton knew at all what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. We've gone through those files. I don't know that Hillary Clinton would have known anything about the accusations against Donald Trump from the Epstein files. She definitely brought forward and platformed people who accused him of sexual assault. I think the criticism of Hillary Clinton is how she went after the people who accused her husband of sexual assault. That's a fair criticism, and I would agree with that. She was horrific to those women who accused her husband, but I don't know that she knew what was in the Epstein files. I don't know when she would have ever had access to the Epstein files.
In a recent interview, you said that it remains to be tested whether supporters of other presidents would react similarly to Trump supporters if they learned of similar accusations against them. But haven't we had that experiment? I look at Joe Biden, for example, who once everyone saw with their own lying eyes that he was not up to the job of president, he seemed out of it, that famous debate car crash performance, many of his own supporters and voters turned on him. They didn't try and grasp at weird justifications to keep him there. Some did, but many others just abandoned Biden. And even today, you look at his poll ratings amongst Democrats, not great.
Yeah. I mean, I say that because I don't have direct, I haven't directly tested it.
Nasri said, I'll buy that for $1. Thank you.
Looking at what people say, it appears that other politicians don't have the kind of cult-like or really dedicated following that Trump has.
You mentioned cult.
Thank you for the gifted subs, Everyday Insanity. Appreciate it. And thank you, Purdy Kiki, as well.
That's something that's interested me for a while. I've been talking about MAGA as a cult for a decade now, and I've interviewed other people who've written about cults. What do you make of the MAGA base?
This is actually kind of funny to watch MAGA fans, like MAGA people in this chat. I said that I don't know that Hillary Clinton knew that Trump was a pedophile. And the MAGA folks in the chat they hate Hillary so much, they're like, yeah, she knew. Okay, so I guess we're all on board. Fine, she knew. So everybody knew he was a pedophile? This dude voted for Hillary after Bill had his cigar in the Oval Office. I did not vote for Hillary Clinton, actually. I voted for Gary Johnson that year. That was when I was still a Republican, and I was not going to vote for Trump. So I did not vote for Hillary Clinton. And I think she was, I don't like Hillary Clinton one bit. I think she's corrupt. I think she was right about a lot of things, but I don't think Hillary Clinton's a good candidate. And I'm glad that a person like that didn't become president, even though the person who became president was far worse.
Is it a cult? Does it meet the traditional definitions, criteria of cult-like behavior if you're still dealing with cognitive dissonance, if they're still dealing with... Because when you think about cult members, rightly or wrongly, you think about people who've just been 100% brainwashed.
Yeah. I can't, I'm not sure I could really speak to that, but I do, there is quite a bit of research showing that when people are
Gary Johnson was a libertarian. I was just still a Republican, but I was not going to vote for Trump, so I voted for Gary Johnson.
Like they're under threat, they will turn.
And for the record, Gary Johnson was the best candidate in that race. I don't regret that vote at all. Gary Johnson was a far better candidate than Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. And I actually think Gary Johnson would have been a good president. I have no regrets about that vote whatsoever.
Authoritarianism, turn to strongman authoritarian leaders. And I think that there is evidence that his followers, have absorbed this message of threat, that their life is under threat.
Yes, this is so important. It's so important that how a cult operates, that what they do is they make you feel like you're under threat all the time. So my cult particularly, like every year it was like the end of the world is near. The end is coming. We have to prepare. So we became like preppers. Everybody in my community, I grew up in Utah, so we all had basements. Almost everybody had a basement that was full of like food supplies. And we were told twice a year, make sure that you have your food storage up to date. Make sure that it's not expired. Be prepared for the end of the world. The end of the world is coming. And when it came to like our church, we would say things like, it was consistently like, we're being attacked. Our faith is being attacked. And do you know what it was that was attacking our faith? Other people existing that didn't believe what we believed. People cursing on television. Nothing was a bigger threat to our faith than fucking Family Guy, who sometimes made fun of Mormons. Eminem, big problem. Rap music, that was an attack on our faith. Gay marriage, that was an attack on our faith. We were told everything that ever happened was actually an attack on our faith. So we lived in this fear bubble, and then we would consolidate, and we would be around just Mormons. There were 3 kids at my school that I knew of that were not Mormon. 3 total. I went to a big school. I went to a 5A school in Utah, which is the biggest classification in Utah. 3 kids weren't Mormon. It was fucking eye-opening. When I moved, the first place I moved, I went on a Mormon mission where I lived with I was around Mormons all the time, so you didn't feel like you were outside of the bubble. But I moved to Arizona to play soccer, and I just remember my teammates drinking, and I was like, what the fuck? And like my teammates talking about how they were like having sex. In Utah, if you drank or you had sex, you didn't talk about it. You hid that from all your friends. You didn't brag about that shit because everybody was in the same faith. So you hid all that stuff. I was alarmed. In fact, I had a very fucking embarrassing moment my freshman year when we lost a game and we were going around talking, and I like yelled at my teammates for drinking. And they had drank, we lost a game on like Thursday, and they were drinking, I think like Friday night the week before. And I was like, you guys aren't taking this seriously. And I remember the look on my teammates like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like we're college kids. Like we drink. And it's super embarrassing now. I did a lot of things like that. But that like living in fear, that's what you guys have right now. That's what you're being sold. I'm going to show clips here in a minute of Republicans as proof of this. They don't have policy. It's just Democrats are evil. Democrats are scary. Iran is scary. Everything is scary. Trans people are scary. Immigrants are scary. Brown people are scary. Black people are scary. Haitians are scary. Everybody's scary. So we have to protect you. You have to stay here with us in the group. If you don't, these evil people are going to take over the world, and they're coming for you. They're coming to replace you. You good whats. They're coming to replace you. It's all fear-mongering all the time. That's how cults operate.
You're not safe. And conservatives or right-wing type people in particular under threat will turn to
Did I get voted off the team that day? My reputation never did recover. There were I think there were 23 people on my team, and I think maybe 6 liked me. So it was tough. I was good, so that was helpful. And I worked really hard, so that was helpful. My teammates liked me for that reason, but I don't think personally they liked me very much.
Authoritarianism. And and I think that we could say, that I could say is the case.
Just on
Amber said, based on facts, figures, foreign policy answers, history, geography, and math, Biden won that debate. Based on appearances, he lost bigly. Good point. Thank you, Aaron and Sherry, for the Antifa dues. Cam said, I can't believe you're not covering the most important stuff. Today is the 10th anniversary of Harambe leaving us. Rest easy, King. You were the glue that kept the world together. It unraveled immediately when you left. Dicks out. I gotta be honest. I don't actually know the story behind Harambe.
Whether they believe all this stuff or they've
Thanks,
been
Toodle.
brainwashed, etc. If one of the justifications they give for carrying on supporting Trump is, well, you know, he may have committed this crime or he may have had this affair, but other politicians do it too.
Yeah.
The implication of that statement, that stance, is that they believe those accusations to be true. They're not questioning the veracity of the accusation. They're simply whatabouting it.
Right. But the funny thing was, you know, as I read these responses and coded them, some people would say both, right? So they'd say, I don't believe it, and also everybody does that. So so that was interesting.
We talked about January 6th, and you mentioned how a small minority of participants did disavow their support for Trump. It was a bridge too far, but the vast majority, you know, looked for excuses, had influencers tell them that there's nothing to worry about, this was all a guided tour, etc. He then pardoned violent criminals who assaulted police officers. They were fine with it. If January 6th wasn't a deal breaker for a majority of his supporters, can anything be a deal breaker for these people?
What's crazy about January 6th is it was a deal breaker, and then they all got convinced that it wasn't. That's the craziest part about January 6th. On that day, almost nobody had Trump's back. Nobody had his back for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then you saw, Kevin McCarthy ventures down to Mar-a-Lago. And we were like, Republicans are like, what the fuck is he doing? Why is he going to Mar-a-Lago? And slowly but surely, Trump got everybody back. And everybody who reacted on that day and saw what they saw, they have just rewritten history and pretended that on that day, they're like, oh yeah, this was totally an FBI setup. And they've allowed themselves to believe the dumbest fucking lies, which we've covered before, but it is remarkably fucking stupid. One of the dumbest fucking things that MAGA Republicans do is tell the story of January 6th, because in the moment we watched it on television. We watched it happen. We watched the people leave Trump's rally and walk down to the Capitol, and we watched as it escalated, as they went through barricade after barricade after barricade. We watched them beat up police. We watched them smash windows. We watched Republican and Democrat senators sprint from the building. We watched everybody unanimously come out and say, not only was this one of the worst days in American history, but Donald Trump is at fault for this, Republicans and Democrats. It was unifying. It was almost like 9/11. It was weird. Like everybody was finally like, okay. And I remember thinking how awful it was, but like, okay, we've broken the cycle. Like this was the cult going too far. This did it. And it is crazy to watch all of you repeat this shit. How is it that you all have the same fucking story? How is it that you didn't have that story until people in the media started telling you the story? First, it was Ray Epps. That didn't really work out. Then the story broke like, oh, the FBI had agents in there who incited. And for a month, you guys were saying, every one of you, the FBI had agents there. Then it turns out it was informants. And then they were just members of these groups. And then you're like, oh, yeah, it was informants. But they convinced the informants to do it. Plus, it wasn't even them. It was Antifa. Antifa was actually the ones that were doing this. It was Antifa breaking the windows. Like, okay, so it was the FBI and it was Antifa, and they staged this whole thing, and you're like, yeah. And then all these people went to court, and none of them were Antifa. All of them were like, I'm a Trump supporter. Every last fucking one of them was like, I'm a Trump supporter. Some of them felt bad about it and apologized. Some of them didn't, and they got jail sentences. Some apologized and still got jail sentences. But every fucking one of them said, I was a Trump supporter. I came from the speech. We thought the election was stolen. We came down here. The crowd started moving. We moved with the crowd. We went into the Capitol. They all admitted it. 0 out of the however many convictions, 1,000 convictions, 0 of those convictions were overturned. Every fucking one of them stood. Some of the sentences were overturned or reduced, but none of the convictions were overturned. Not one. And you still were saying, oh, it was Antifa and it was the FBI. And then Trump gets back in power and he pardons them. And none of you stopped for a second to go, wait, why did he pardon Antifa and the FBI. Why did Antifa and the FBI get pardoned here? Nope. You still have both stories. How is that possible? How is the story that it was Antifa and the FBI and they're getting pardoned and now they're going to get money? Probably not. They're probably not going to get money. They're going to lose that case. It is incoherent. The way that your story has evolved on January 6th, and it is incoherent how all of your stories have evolved. It is incoherent how you went from America first, no new wars, to fuck it, we got to go to all these wars. Fuck it. Like Donald Trump literally is telling you, we don't have money for healthcare and education because we have to fight wars. And on the campaign trail, it was like, we got to stop fighting these wars and being the world's police, and we got to take care of healthcare and education and infrastructure. And so we're not doing any of the infrastructure stuff. We're not doing any of the healthcare. We're not doing any of the education. We're cutting funding from all of that to go fight wars. And you're all just pretending like that didn't happen. There's no other explanation for this other than you operate like a cult. You do what you're told. You say what you're told to say. You regurgitate what you have heard. And it doesn't matter to any of you that none of it makes any goddamn sense whatsoever. And it doesn't bother you because what you've been conditioned to believe is that you are on the right side. The left is on the wrong side. So no matter what you do, it would have been worse if it was from the left. And we see you do it every day. Some of you are doing it right now. Oh, it would have been worse. Oh, but the left is worse. And some of you are absolute fucking bitches. And you're like, it's both sides. We've been corrupt forever. And you guys somehow are worse. You need to get off the fence. How the fuck do you fence sit on a cult? Like, I don't know. One of these is absolutely a cult and they believe everything that isn't true. And this other side does things I don't like. Like, take a position. You don't have to be left or right, but if you're identifying them as the same, that's crazy. The left has no continuity. They can't agree on fucking anything. There's no leader. They can't unify. That's obvious. If you know anything about cults, they unify around one figure. Who's the figure that the left is unifying around? To all you both sidesers, from now on, when you say both sides, you got to tell us who our unifying figure is. You have to tell us who the leader is, because I cover this shit every day, and I don't have a fucking clue who the leader of the left is. The people that I like certainly aren't the leaders. Bernie Sanders certainly isn't the leader. AOC is certainly not the leader. Elizabeth Warren certainly isn't the leader. Most of the people in our party hate them. So they're not leading. Who's the leader here? Hakeem Jeffries, nobody likes him. Chuck Schumer, nobody likes Chuck Schumer. Gavin Newsom, not that many people like Gavin Newsom. Who's our leader? We know your leader. We know your policy. Your policy is Donald fucking Trump. We'll do whatever Donald tells us to do. But the incoherency of every position that you've ever taken, you have waffled on every fucking position, and your only excuse for waffling on that is left bad, which is silly and pathetic. It doesn't, even if you don't like the left, stop supporting him. Stop supporting, don't vote for him. Vote for somebody else. Primary. How the fuck in Texas, where's our Texas folks here? How the fuck did that just happen in Texas? This is a perfect example. In Texas, it's like the top two advance, right? So you have John Cornyn, you have Ken Paxton, and you had Colin Allred. Well, Cornyn won. Cornyn had the lead, but he didn't have enough to win. Paxton was second. But Cornyn was obviously more popular in Texas, and he was leading every poll until what? Until Donald Trump endorsed Paxton. And all of a sudden, he won in a landslide. How'd that happen? How did so many people in Texas correctly identify that John Cornyn might be establishment, but at least he's not a crook? And then all of a sudden, Donald Trump's like, vote for the crook. And you're like, okay. And then he wins in a landslide. How'd that happen? Because you're in a fucking cult where what Donald Trump says goes. Thomas Massie wins his primary with 80% of the vote every fucking time. Every fucking time. And then he gets beat in a Republican primary. What changed? Donald Trump said so. Okay, we'll do whatever you say, Donald. Joe Biden, Donald Trump is 9 for 9 on Senate endorsements in the Republican primaries, and 111 for 111 in congressional primaries. Every single person Donald Trump has endorsed won the primary, 100%. You obey him 100% of the time. And anybody who disobeys Donald Trump is immediately labeled a rhino and cast out of the party. Just going back to the cult that I was in, it's a great man. Let me get his name, because I think his name needs to be out there. I always forget it. It is Sam Young. Let me show you this guy, and we'll get back to the video. This man is a hero of mine. I'll just go to the Google images here. This man's name is Sam Young. Scroll through here. He was a Mormon bishop, faithful Mormon his entire life. At one point, his daughters, shout out girl dads, came to him and relayed the message that when they were going in and meeting with their bishops were asking them like really graphic questions about their sex life, about like masturbation, trigger warning, sorry. And he got really upset about that. He's like, I don't understand why a religious leader would need to be asking my children specific questions about their sex life. So he, as a religious leader in the Mormon church, wrote a letter to the First Presidency, which is the leadership of the church in Salt Lake City, saying, we need to change this policy. This policy is abusive. It's wrong. I don't believe it's like in accordance with God's laws. And they didn't talk to him. And then he got released from his calling. They just took away his calling. So he's like, all right, I can't get a response from anybody, but I want some attention on this, and I want this policy to change. So he went to Salt Lake City, and he went on a hunger strike, and he stood in front of the church office buildings. That's him here. And he stood in front of the church office buildings. I think he was on a hunger strike for 14 days, maybe, just protesting that grown men shouldn't be able to ask children graphic sexual questions. Eventually, as you can see, other people joined his protest. News organizations covered it. Here's KUTV, which is the CBS affiliate in Utah. Salt Lake Tribune, which is a major newspaper. KUTV there as well. Mostly Salt Lake Tribune. Deseret News, which is the biggest, didn't cover it because they're owned by the Mormon church. Eventually, the Mormon church was like, fuck. Like, frick. They probably said frick. So what did they do? They changed the rule. Everything he wanted done, they said, from now on, bishops can't ask these questions, and children have the option to bring their parent into these interviews, where before, your parent couldn't be in the interview with you. It was just you and the bishop. So they changed all the rules to protect children. And you want to know what they did with him? They excommunicated him from the church. And what that means is he can't go. Mormons believe that there are certain like endowments that they are given that when they go through the Mormon temple that gives them like eternal life in like the highest kingdom of the church, and that allows them to live with their families forever. The Mormon church's response to him, correctly pointing out a massive fucking flaw and a massive fucking problem, was to change the rules, to basically conclude that he was right, and then they removed him from the church because he went against the leadership. How's that different than Mitt Romney? How's that different than Justin Amash? How's that different from Marjorie Taylor Greene? How's that different from Thomas Massey? How's that different than Jeff Flake? How's that different now of John Thune? Is it John Thune? Tillis. No, Senator Tillis. Tom Tillis. You operate the exact same fucking way. Was Thomas Massey wrong? No. Did Trump cover up the Epstein files? Yeah. Is he still? Yup. Why do you hate Thomas Massey? You don't really know. You just know you're supposed to. He's a rhino. You operate the exact same way. This is why it was easy for me to leave the Republican Party and to recognize Donald Trump as a real fucking problem in 2015. Because I was leaving my faith at the same time where they were doing this exact same shit. Donald Trump immediately comes into your party, and what did he do? Did he come in with new, fresh ideas? No, he literally ran on Mitt Romney's policy. Literally, like word for word. He just took Mitt Romney's platform and ran on it. How did he become popular? He started lying about crazy shit, like Ted Cruz's dad. He went after Ted Cruz first in Iowa because Ted Cruz was leading. And he said Ted Cruz's dad was part of the JFK assassination. And he said that his wife was ugly. And he started making up lies about Ted Cruz. And he forced you to take a position. Because his lie is so strong that if you want to be with him, you have to be like, oh yeah, Ted Cruz's dad definitely was part of the JFK assassination. Or you side with Ted Cruz. And he just started picking people off. And eventually he built a coalition through these lies and through this type of manipulation where he could beat anybody. And he just picked Republicans off one by one, just picked them off by lying and forcing you, the voter, into a position. And he conditioned you to start taking absurd positions, insane positions, because you wanted to, like, you were part of this winning momentum. You're like, oh, I'm going to stay on the Trump train. He's winning. Oh, he's hilarious. Oh, they're just, and then once it was all said and done, you looked back and you're like, that's the brilliance of him. That's why he's so brilliant. He was playing 5D chess. Sure, maybe what he was actually doing is lying and manipulating. And you're like, oh, that's something to be admired. And here we are, decades later, you believing obvious lies. Day one of his administration, he lied. The very first thing he did was lie about the attendance of his inauguration and the fact that it stopped raining and the sun came out right when he started speaking. And when he was called out by that in the media, even though with your own eyes, you could see that it was not the most well-attended and it didn't stop raining, MAGA, shockingly, to a lot of us, took his side against reality. No, the sun didn't come out. No, the clouds didn't part and the sun came out when he started speaking. No, it wasn't the most well-attended. And MAGA, instead of addressing any of that, went, that's just TDS. They hate him so much. This story doesn't matter. And from then on, every negative story about Donald Trump, you have dismissed as just people being bitter. And you believe crazy shit that never happened, stories that don't exist, data that doesn't exist, until where we are right now, where Donald Trump is objectively and factually fucking up our country, fucking up your lives, costing everything in your life costs more. And it's going to cost more down the road too. He's objectively not making anything better. And you're just in it. Like we're going to ride till we die. We're going to go down with the ship. That is cult mentality. You are the people in Waco who stayed in the burning house. Because we're here with David Koresh. We already decided. We're already all in. We're fully invested. That's fine. Set the place on fire. We're going down with it. That's you.
Anything ever gonna, like people say, oh, gas prices, the economy, that's what's going to finally split him from his base. Iran and lying about going to war, that's what's going to piss off the Tucker Carlson part of his base. Is there anything you think that could actually split him from his loyal supporters?
I think so. And going back to cognitive dissonance, we talk about something called the most resistant to change cognition. And so whenever you change your views, you change your beliefs, it goes in the direction of what's most resistant to change. And I think that—
I heard about the complaint filed against Bondi in Florida for disbarment. I haven't. Send that to me, Jacob.
when it affects people's personal lives, so the rising gas prices, inflation,
thanks, Damien.
Other things that directly impact them, I think that those personal things are more resistant to change. And so the news and the influencers can try to spin that, but it's really hard to do when it's directly impacting you. So I think that's probably the—
When you're standing in a gas station looking at the price, filling up your car, that wasn't the price last week or last month, and Donald Trump had promised to bring that price down. One last question. How much of this is Trump specific? Obviously, you started the study in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Evidence of what, Mark? Evidence of what? You said you're waiting on any evidence against Trump on January 6th. Evidence of what? He was never prosecuted for January 6th. There was going to be a prosecution. The evidence against Donald Trump is internal communications, briefings that he was given, that he knew that there would be violence on January 6th, and his refusal to call in the National Guard. This one's crazy too, because this is what's going to happen. I'm going to say the National Guard. And listen, before you respond, Mark, Nancy Pelosi can't call in the National Guard. Please don't say it. Please don't say Nancy Pelosi can call in the National Guard. I'll have to prove that wrong. Plenty of evidence. We'll watch any January 6th video you want, Mark. We'll watch any one you want. You tell me what to look up after this, and we'll play this. I'll do January 6th with you.
Supporters confused and shocked you as they did me. You mentioned your late mother. How much of this is Trump specific? How much do you think you'll be doing a study like this?
Why wouldn't he be prosecuted if he committed treason? Because he became president again before he could be prosecuted, and you can't prosecute a president while they're president. Jack Smith had an indictment against him. Jack Smith had more evidence against him than Donald Trump has against any of his enemies. And he was going to go to court. but then he became president, so we didn't ever get there.
Of J.D. Vance supporters or Marco Rubio supporters? Or is Trump, as I believe, sui generis?
It seems like he has a particular charisma for the people who support him that is different. It seems like it's qualitatively different than what other politicians have. I mean, someone else could come along who's also as charismatic as he is and commands the same kind of loyalty, but so far I'm not seeing that for J.D. Vance or other people in the mix.
Nor am I. We agree on that. Dr. Cindy Harmon-Jones, we will leave it there. Thank you so much for your time and for your analysis.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Is that an insult, Mehdi Hassan Piker? Yeah, you guys just hate Hassan Piker too. You're indoctrinated to hate Hassan Piker. The charges for Donald Trump in January 6th were the 4 charges were conspiracy to defraud the United States. He's accused of using deceit and dishonest claims about the election to obstruct the lawful function of the federal government in collecting and certifying the results. That's obvious. It's obvious that he lied about that. Conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. He's accused of planning with allies to disrupt congressional certification of the electoral vote. Obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. Now, if you guys want transparency, why don't we get to see that indictment? Why don't we get to see the evidence there? If you're all for this, if you're convinced that Donald Trump didn't commit these crimes, how come we don't get to see the evidence? How come that's buried? How come we can't release the evidence there? Hoodie's threatening people? Mods, if Hoodie's threatening people, get rid of him. I don't care.
He's not. So he admitted, I think you and I talked about it, admitted to doing some kind of sketchy stuff. And so he's threatening lawsuits to sue people.
Oh.
That's the threat.
All right. Well, mods, do your thing. I don't have any patience for Hoodie. You guys can decide what to do with him. All right. Did you tell me? I don't remember who it was. What was I supposed to look? What's this video I'm supposed to look up for on January 6th? I don't remember who it was that said that. Again, though, you guys have changed your story on January 6th so many times. This wasn't even your suit. This wasn't even your argument before. On the day it happened, you all said it was a problem. And I don't believe you if you say that on the day it happened, you didn't think it was a problem. Just a reminder, we are crowdfunded. We've got about an hour and 45 minutes left. We're a little behind time-wise, but if you guys could help us knock out that gift goal by the end of the live, that'd be greatly appreciated. Something about 900 plus TikTok here. People here, if you could Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, that's the way we prefer because that takes the least amount out of our pockets. And so if you want to help us knock out that gift goal, we could do a dollar train and take care of that quick, fast, and in a hurry. All right. I want to give you an example of what cognitive dissonance looks like over the course of 10 years. This is Megyn Kelly. None of the facts changed for Megyn Kelly. None. What changed for Megyn Kelly is that in 2016, as a host for Fox News, there was a semblance of objectivity still within the Republican Party. There were a lot of people at Fox News that rejected Donald Trump. And what we found out is that the people who watched Fox News were all in on Donald Trump. And we learned very quickly that criticizing Donald Trump, even for accurate claims, would get you removed. And Megyn Kelly lost her job at Fox News. But watch the evolution of Megyn Kelly and the accusations of sexual assault against Donald Trump. Just watch. This is cognitive dissonance. I believe in 2026 that Megyn Kelly thinks she's right. But this is all conditioning. This has been her being conditioned and pushed into the corner that you are to be subservient to Donald Trump and the MAGA movement.
But I am fascinated by the protection of women and understanding what we're getting in the Oval Office. Another woman who has alleged groping, unwanted groping, by Donald Trump is with us back now with 3 of the 16-plus women who have accused President Trump of sexual misconduct. Trump is on record as saying he did this. And you are all familiar by this point with the Access Hollywood tape.
I don't think Donald Trump is a rapist or a sexual assaulter. I do think he's taken inappropriate liberties with women and gotten handsy with them.
Inappropriate liberties and getting handsy with women is what you call sexual assault. They're changing the definition of sexual assault so that they can still support Donald Trump. You've all done that. But yeah, thank you, Breakies. You're just explaining what sexual assault is.
In a way he's owned himself. And it is what it is. That's the past. I don't give a shit about Trump getting handsy with somebody 20 years ago. Ivana, his first wife, accused him of raping her. That she alleged in her first book that he was so angry over the hair transplant he got that she made him get. It was so painful that he raped her. And she later retracted that when he ran for president. But that stood on the books for some time. But I am fascinated by the protection of women and understand.
All right. Just replaying it. That's the evolution of cognitive dissonance. This is the effects of MAGA. The effects of Donald Trump. Kelvy said, women need to get over it. If that traumatized you, you're weak. Go fuck yourself. Kelvy, you can ban Kelvy forever. We don't do sexual assault apology here. You can go fuck yourself. You are you are why women choose the bear. All right. I want to give you another example of cognitive dissonance. This is an ad that was put out by the GOP, which is now no longer on any of their pages. I wonder why they took this ad down.
This is the sound of Texas. And this is how it sounds under Ken Paxton.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
So, which Texas do you want to hear?
Why do you think they're not going to run that attack ad anymore? Because he's their candidate now. Just not true anymore? Pink, thanks for joining the Dollar Train. Jacob said, through the Bondi in the Discord general chat, username Earl Dobbs. Okay. I'll look at Jen. Can you find that in the Gen chat and just throw it in our messages? It's crazy how we just changed. Reminder, the Republicans already got rid of Ken Paxton. The Republicans in his own state impeached him. And yet now he's your candidate. And why is he your candidate? He wasn't even popular. Not until Trump said vote for him.
Skyline, because something remarkable.
RTP refusing to simply post a link for the criminal sexual conviction. I've never said that Donald Trump has a criminal sexual conviction. It was a civil case that was outside the statute of limitations, and the definition of what he did that he was found civilly liable for, if it was a criminal charge inside the statute of limitations, would have been sexual assault, but it's called sexual abuse in a civil case. And it is cognitive dissonance as well. Like, there was enough evidence for a jury to decide that Donald Trump sexually abused E.G. and Carroll. And if every time Trump is convicted, you just say the jury was tainted, that's exactly what we're talking about. Everything, he can't do any wrong. All three times he went to court, from the time he left the office until he's back in office. All three times he lost. Very easily, too. The juries came back very quickly. He didn't even have a good case. He refused to testify. He refused to supply a DNA sample. Why would Donald Trump refuse to supply a DNA sample? We all know why. Because it would have matched. He was afraid that it would match. Then he lost his other civil case, and then he lost his criminal case. And he was going to lose the other two cases, too. But that's the thing. There's no use even talking to you about it, because when he's convicted, you're like, oh, it's unfair. It was biased. Every bit of information that comes out, you're just like, oh, it's just the Dems. Just the Dems lying, left-wing lunatics. There's no use really trying to provide any of this documentation, but we do it anyways. However, don't misrepresent my claim that there was a criminal conviction for sexual assault, because there wasn't. But there are tons of payoffs. He paid off a lot of people, a lot of NDAs. Why would you have so many NDAs? How come there's so many women that accused you of sexual assault that then got paid? How'd that happen? Don't say it happens to all rich people, because it doesn't. It doesn't happen to all rich people. Most rich people don't have dozens of NDAs where they had to pay off people who accuse them of sexual assault. And all of these payments came long before he ran for office. So let's not call that political either. It's just because he's rich and he's a ladies' man and they wanted his money. Yeah, you'll justify anything. The only thing you won't do is believe women. Daryl said, yo, I want to hear you say go Hawks and fuck all MAGA. I'm talking about the Atlanta Hawks.
Or what counts as remarkable.
Oh, sorry. This was I just wanted to remind you, this was the case against Ken Paxton, who was canceled by his own party, impeached by his own party. And then because Donald Trump said, pick him instead, you guys elected once again, another corrupt career politician criminal.
These days happened in Texas over the weekend. Attorney General Ken Paxton, a Republican, became just the third person ever to be impeached in that state. And he was impeached by Republicans. Wasn't even a close vote in the GOP-controlled state house. You know Paxton as a close ally of former President Donald Trump. He got reelected despite facing...
Hold on, I'll engage here, a juice burner. Give me one other example. If you can give me one other example, I'll concede. Give me one other example of a celebrity who was targeted for sexual assault, who is on tape bragging about doing the sexual assault, the exact actions of the sexual assault that they were accused of. And that tape needs to be decades later. So find me somebody that 10 to 20 years before that tape came out had dozens of sexual assault claims that were paid, by the way. NDAs were given, they were paid out, and that person then was on the record bragging about doing that exact same sexual assault. And then that celebrity went to court for a sexual abuse claim and was found liable for that sexual abuse claim. If you want to, if you're going to say, like, if we want to do apples to apples, just give me one other example fucking ever when that happened. One. And then where that person was innocent. We'll wait for that. Yeah, Cosby did. No, where they were innocent. Oh, God. Does MAGA think Diddy and Cosby are innocent? Weinstein? Yeah. These people are all guilty. R. Kelly, they're all guilty, right? Yeah, they're all guilty, but not Trump.
Criminal charges related to a previous matter. He's denied all wrongdoing. And Omar Villafranca is here to explain what finally got his own party to turn against him.
I don't. That doesn't fit Johnny Depp. I think Johnny Depp was accused by his ex, and I don't believe he's on tape. Maybe I'm wrong. Is he on tape admitting to doing what she accused him of? I don't think so.
A majority of Texas House Republicans voted to impeach one of their own Saturday.
The resolution is adopted.
Acting to oust the state's Attorney General, Ken Paxton.
He put the interest of himself above the laws of the state of Texas.
Lawmakers began investigating Paxton back in March after he asked for
Yeah, name the assault that Trump's allegedly on video admitting to exactly. I didn't say exactly. I said the exact behavior that they accused him of, he claims that he does. He didn't pick a specific time. He said he does it. It's just what he does. It's part of him. And I would dare Donald Trump to sue me for defamation. Let me ask you this question. How come he doesn't sue anybody for defamation? How come he doesn't win any defamation cases? How come he's not suing E. Jean Carroll for defamation? Because it's all provable. Stop protecting sexual abusers, please.
Back in March after he asked for $3.3 million in taxpayer money to settle a whistleblower lawsuit filed by staffers whom Paxton fired after they went to the FBI with their corruption allegations.
Sam, what did I make up? Well, I didn't. I'll watch for it because I'm not sure what you said. What is it that you think I made up here? And I'll address it.
20 articles of impeachment include charges of not only misappropriation of public resources, but also bribery, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy. Houston Representative Ann Johnson is on the House Investigative Committee.
The exposure of the felony crimes that Ken Paxton has done is the kind that would erode the public trust.
In a statement, Paxton denied the allegations and denounced the proceedings as illegal, unethical, and profoundly
that's always what they do. That's always the move. You're guilty. Oh, these are illegal. It's unethical. It's always politically motivated. His own party finds him guilty, impeaches him, and he's like, "Oh, that was partisan politics." Okay.
Just.
Ring the bell.
Some lawmakers who voted against impeachment questioned the process.
It's what I call the hang 'em now and judge 'em later policy.
Paxton's attorney says any alleged wrongdoings should be left to the courts.
Sam, I need you to please respond to what I said. If we're going to do this good faith, just say what exactly it was that I lied about.
There are no criminal charges here.
That I already addressed that, Sam. I never said that he was criminally sexually convicted. I've never said that he was convicted of a criminal. I was very specific. I said there were 2 civil cases. There was a sexual abuse civil case. There was the financial civil case, and then you had the criminal case, which was the 34 fraud convictions. I've never said that, so I'm not lying. You're playing whataboutism with something very silly here, just so that this. And by the way, you don't know what dissonance is. It's cognitive dissonance, and you're using it incorrectly. Getting something wrong is not cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when you are presented with information and you dismiss that information because you already have a belief. You're not providing me with new information. I'm not rejecting any of your information. You're just saying that I made a claim which I didn't make. You're not providing me anything that is refuting a claim that I made. So just so we're clear, you're using that term incorrectly.
Been filed. So the process, I think, is deeply flawed in terms of denying due process.
Whether Paxton's removal will become permanent will ultimately lie with the Texas Senate, where his wife is a senator. She has not yet said whether she'll recuse herself from her husband's trial proceedings.
I didn't miss this part of MAGA, like being on TikTok, where like they say that you make a claim that you didn't make, and then you're like, I didn't make that. And they're like, now you're backpedaling. No, you didn't know. You don't know what we're talking about. All right, Sam, what do you got here? All these felonies he's committed over time. You can't point to one criminal sexual conviction. I've said, yeah, he never was sexually. I said that he paid people off. He had NDAs. Correct. You know what's really hard to prove? Sexual assault. I asked why he paid people off, and then he has a civil conviction for sexual abuse. Oh, this is a little embarrassing for you now, Sam. I keep asking you to tell me what I lied about, and you keep saying the same thing. You keep pointing to a claim that I didn't make. You can clip it. I'll send you $100 if any of you MAGA go back. You can rewind, find any place during the live where I said Donald Trump was criminally convicted of sexual assault. I'll send you $100. This should be easy. Go for it. What did I lie about? Sam, you did not say what I lied about. I've read every one of your comments. You keep saying the same fucking thing. You're using cognitive dissonance incorrectly, and then you keep pointing to a criminal conviction, which I never said he had. Again, you can go back and clip it. You can send it to me. Get it free $100. All right. I'm going to skip that because there's about an hour and a half left. I want to get down to this, and then we can. I might save that for tomorrow. All right, we'll keep going here. Let's stay on the cognitive dissonance here. This is Mike Flood. He's running in a contested race in Nebraska, Nebraska is kind of interesting. Nebraska is kind of showing this blueprint of how you can get rid of MAGA people in red states. I don't remember who Mike Flood is running against, but they're very like independent. They're not like a Democrat aligned candidate. And then you obviously have Dan Osborne, who's running for Senate in Nebraska, who is an independent it's interesting. In the polls in Nebraska, I don't remember who the Democrat was that was running. The Democrat was basically every poll was losing by like 10 to 14 points in a head-to-head with who's the GOP senator? I don't remember his name in Nebraska that they're running against. But Dan Osborne, the independent, is polling 4 to 5 points ahead of the Republican. And so the Democrats, recognizing that they weren't going to win and they can't win on like their policies, just withdrew and are saying like, go ahead, Dan Osborne. And so Dan Osborne isn't somebody that I think if you're a progressive, you would look at and be like, that's our fucking guy. But it is showing that being MAGA isn't that popular. It's more popular in red states than being a Democrat. But if you are able to position yourself as an independent and talk about populist ideas, you'll likely win. And this seat is likely to flip. Like Republicans are likely to lose this seat. Sam, did Sam ever come up with it? You did. You did? Okay, clip it, Sam. Clip it, Sam. Sam, we're going to go ahead and mute Sam for 5 minutes. Sam, go back, find the clip, send it to me. I'll play it on air. I'll apologize to you publicly, and I will send you $100. But we can mute you for 5 minutes so you can go do it. And then come back. I'll play the clip. I'll apologize to you, and I'll send you $100. This should be easy for you. Anyways, Mike Flood is having a hard time. And this is what happens when you're in a contested race and you're a Republican and you are forced to defend really corrupt actions by this president, like this dog shit anti-weaponization fund, which I've learned some new things. You know, that's $1.776 billion. That's a made up fucking number. There is no limit on this number. That's just a number that they're making up. There is actually no limit to these payments. And this is a hard thing to defend when you're in a contested primary because it's obviously corrupt. And here's Mike Flood in a rare moment where you'll see a Republican awkwardly distance themselves from Trump.
Michelle Moser, I'm from Norfolk, Nebraska. I'm a retired attorney with the IRS Estate and Gift Tax Division, and I asked you the Doge question in Columbus. So my question today is, Trump sued the IRS for $10 billion. The IRS Chief Counsel's Office prepared a memo in defense of the Internal Revenue Service, which was suppressed. One of the items brought up in that memo was the statute of limitation had expired, which indeed it has. Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general, settled that case for $1.776 billion with an anti-weaponization fund, which allows all those people on January 6th who broke into the Capitol to benefit from that fund. It also gives the president the right to go after that money. Last year you talked about fiscal conservatism. How is that fiscally conservative?
Well, first of all, thanks for being here, Michelle, and thank you for your career at the IRS. I know the kind of work you did, and I know one of the firms you started in, and you are super capable and highly respected. What I would say to your question about this fund that came to light last week from the Department of Justice is that I have never approved that. I do not think one penny of any fund should ever go to any January 6th insurrectionist that was in the Capitol on January 6, 2021. I want to be very clear. I do not think we should be creating a fund for people that commit physical violence against law enforcement. Here's what I would say. As I understand it, and this comes from some of my colleagues in the Senate is opening an oversight effort, and we in the House have to determine whether we do the same in the Judiciary Committee or in the Oversight Committee. I clearly think Congress needs to have an oversight role in this before I can sign off or support this. But listen, this is less than a week old, so I am going to be back in Washington on Tuesday. I will say this, though. I do not want $1 of that going to anybody who physically assaulted police officers, period.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer by Mike Flood. I hope he stands by that. Sean asked, like, where do we go from here? Like, you believe in the conservative values that Trump ran on, but not here. I would honestly, like, if you're being serious about that, I would look at your conservative values, identify what they are, and compare that to policy. If you care about government spending, if you care about deficits, and you look at the information honestly, you would have to conclude that Republicans are fiscally more irresponsible than Democrats. Both of them spend. None of them ever stop spending. But Democrats regularly increase taxes, which is fiscally more responsible because you're bringing in more revenue, right? So deficit spending usually reduces under Democrat presidents. So you'd have to be honest with that. If you're talking about tax policy, if you just say, like, I believe in low taxes, I would just look at your beliefs and say, like, why do I believe in low taxes? Does it work? Is it working? And if I were you and you're saying, like, I think taxes should be lower, I would go look at the times in America when taxes were very high versus when taxes were lower and see, like, how is America doing in those times? How is the middle class doing? How is small business doing? What does our deficit look like? What's our education budget look like? Is our economy growing? Where is the economy growing? Is it growing for a small portion of the people, or is it growing for a lot of people? And I think what you would find out is that in times in this country when when taxes were the highest, we saw the most growth. We saw the biggest middle class. We saw better education. We saw more investments in education. Most of your parents and grandparents were able to go to school for virtually nothing or very little if it was a state school. There were private schools that were expensive, nowhere near where they are now, but because we paid for that. People in, like, Scandinavia regularly make fun of Americans for being obsessed with the tax rate. But people in Scandinavia often have just as much money, or if not more money, left over at the end of the month, and their education is free. Not for like free to use. Like at the time, like there's no transaction. Obviously, they're paying for it through taxes. But at the time when they go get their education or the time they go see the doctor, they're not paying anything out of pocket. So you just have to look at it as like bills, right? And somebody said yesterday, I thought it was really smart. Capitalism for things that you want, socialism for things that you need. That's a good way to look at what works and what doesn't. Capitalism doesn't work for the things that we need. It's not very good. Like capitalism wouldn't work for the police department or the fire department. Capitalism doesn't work very good for education. You can look at what's happened to our education as money has been more introduced into schools, as people have taken out like their student loans, as these schools have become like they have these massive endowments and their goal is to make more money. So then they build up their sports programs and they have these massive stadiums and they invest and they take on corporate sponsorships. That hasn't made our education better. Capitalism doesn't work very well for things that we need, but for things that we want, capitalism is a great thing because then it's competitive. You're looking at the market and you're like, all right, I want this thing, so I'm going to go shop for this thing and I'm going to take the best, either the best quality or the best price or some combination of both. That's true. That like in the spirit of capitalism, in the spirit of free markets, that stuff works. So I would just simply say this, that I don't think conservatives, since Ronald Reagan, Republicans, I don't think they have done anything that aligns with their values outside of like social issues. And then I would just challenge you that if you are voting for social issues, then I don't think that your view of America and your view of freedom and your view of democracy and your view of individual rights is I guess it's not in tune with what I think freedom would be. Like if your freedom requires other people not having the freedom to make their choices, then I don't know that that's really freedom. So that would be my advice. Go somewhere else. But until Republicans demand that Republicans act in any manner, anywhere close to what they campaign on, then things won't change. And you can say the same thing about the Democrats, which is why I can't stand most Democrats. It's why I like people like Bernie Sanders. It's like why I like people like Elizabeth Warren. I like people who consistently show up in the same way and fight for like their principles and their values. And I do happen to align with them on a lot of those things, but those are some of the most principled people in Congress. Who's principled in the Republican Party? Could you guys name me somebody that you believe is principled that's in your party? I don't know. I think they're all gone. I really liked Justin Amash. He was a Republican for a long time. I was a big fan of Justin Amash. He got ran out because he was principled. Maybe a libertarian. Yeah, maybe like a Thomas Massey. And what happened to him? I don't think Rand Paul is principled. I think Rand Paul's a fucking phony. His dad was. I think Rand Paul is a bullshit libertarian. He's not a libertarian. His dad was. And I didn't really like his dad either. I don't like Ron Paul. I thought Gary Johnson was a better libertarian. I like Chase Oliver, the current. He was the candidate for the Libertarians last time. That's a principled person. I get tired of Rand Paul going against his principles. Ted Cruz. See how hard that was for you? I'm asking you guys for somebody principled, and you can't give me an answer. That's tough. That's your whole party. I'm giving you the whole party, which is one person in your party who has principles. Some Democrats don't have principles. I agree with that. But Blazin, I'm asking for somebody with principles in your party. It should concern you that you don't have an answer for that, George Bush. This is crazy. You guys don't have one? You're just coming after me? You're just going to yell at me? This is an easy one. George Bush. I like that. Yeah, I think Thomas Massey is probably your best answer. Natalie said the way they can change facts is fucking mind-blowing. Agreed with that. Betsy said to aggravate the MAGA in the YouTube chat. Thank you. Annette said jumping on the dollar train. I appreciate you guys. Once again, we are crowdfunded. We got about an hour and 20 minutes left. If you guys want to help us knock out that gift goal, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated. We're a ways off for that. I know times are tough for a lot of us, so anything you can do to help goes a long way. Alexander said, great show, Jay. Thank you for continuing to speak on Trump's abuse of women and the actual proof that MAGA is a cult. It just is. They believe anything with no evidence, but deny everything with actual evidence. It's insanity. Yeah. It's like absolutely. Tim Scott. Tim Scott. Tim Scott. Tim Scott's principles are keeping Trump's dick in his mouth. There's no call-in number, Hurt Balloon. You need to add Jen on Discord. The username is JENNDUBB1. You message her on Discord and she can bring you up. Any of you can come up here. There is not a number. We're naming many. Who are you naming? Vivek? Vivek is literally a criminal. Pump and dump Vivek? What are his principles? Massey's the only one with principles that you guys are naming. Eli Crane? What are Eli Crane's principles? I'm here in Arizona. What are his principles? Yeah, that's true, William. Gary Johnson got buried for not understanding the Aleppo question. Yeah. But that wouldn't hurt Trump. Vivek is a great human. Yeah, except for that one time when he stole a bunch of money. Made a fortune by pretending that an Alzheimer's drug was going to work, and he lied to all the investors and made billions. He just became a billionaire by scamming people. Other than that, yeah, he's a great human for sure. Vivek. Do you support Ukraine? Not financially, I don't. I do think that Ukraine has every right to fight an invading country, and I think that we have an obligation to help them fight off Russia by providing weapons for them, because that was a deal that we made with them. Yeah. Do you know? Bolts and Bolts, look it up. Look up Vivek Ramaswamy, Alzheimer's drug. Just Google it and see what comes up. I know that this is the cognitive dissonance. You're doing this thing. This is where'd old boy go that was going to clip something for me? But this is exactly what cognitive dissonance is. I say something, and rather than address what I'm saying and look it up, you say you just make shit up. This is cognitive dissonance. I'm glad that we're learning this term, and we're watching you guys do it in real time. What's wrong with Eli Crane? I don't know what Eli Crane's principles are. What's mostly wrong, what I don't like about Eli Crane is that he's a fucking bigot. I think that Eli Crane claims to be like fiscally responsible, and yet he votes for every fucking spending bill. I also think Eli Crane is remarkably stupid. And it's easy to be remarkably stupid in Arizona and win votes in those red areas, because all you have to do is show up and be like, I hate immigrants and I love Trump. And they're like, yeah, that's what we do too. I'm asking you why Ray Epps incited the first breach of security. Did he? Do you have evidence? Mark, what's the evidence that Ray Epps incited the first breach of security? Just that he said go? You can prosecute Ray Epps, by the way. I don't give a shit. Why would I care if Ray Epps did that? You can prosecute him if you want. I think they tried to prosecute him and nothing happened. I don't know. Are we going to blame January 6th on one guy with a megaphone saying, go get him?
Nobody would have went and got him if Ray Epps didn't yell it from a megaphone.
God damn, that's dumb. If you make a claim, you got to back it up. I think Vivek is bad because his pill failed stage 3. Yes, because it had already failed stage 3, and he knew it was going to fail again. And he went all over TV and he did a media campaign saying that he went and he replaced the board, and he put his mom on the board. And then they were like, oh, this is totally going to work this time. He didn't change anything. Nothing changed. They just hyped up a drug. Then they did their IPO. They made a fortune. The drug failed. And then it was so bad that he had to change the name of his company so that people wouldn't associate him with that company anymore. Yeah. He didn't develop that drug. He bought the drug when it had already failed, did nothing to reformulate it, did nothing to fix it, just went on TV and hyped it, and then it failed again, and he made $1 billion. Yeah. Yes, it is very common in the industry. They're all fucking crooks. They're all fucking crooks. They're all the same. Yeah. It is very common for people to be criminal. And it's very common for rich people to get away with doing criminal things because they write the laws. I'm not arguing that he was convicted. I'm arguing that he's a dirtbag and he doesn't have principles. What did they do? They spent millions trying to make it work. No, they spent millions on advertising. They didn't make it work. Silly. Why did the price go up? Why did the stock price jump? When he did the IPO, why was it so expensive? Why was it so successful? Was it because they had new data? Was it because of the research they did? Or was it because he was on CNBC and Fox News and CNN and he was paying for pieces in every magazine about, hey, look at this young startup. He's brilliant. He's going to fix Alzheimer's. And they wrote all these stories and there was this big hype machine behind him. And he never had the science. He never had the data to back up a single one of his fucking claims. It was just hype. I think that's one of those things that's kind of uniquely American and it's gross. And I would never vote for somebody who made their money that way. You can, like, you guys love con men. You love con men. They're your favorite people. But every time you love a politician, it's a con man. Donald Trump multiple times has been caught being a con man. You got the biggest Medicare fraud in history done by Rick Scott. And Florida's like, we should make him governor. Now he's not governor anymore. Let's make him be the senator. There's nothing you love more than con men because you're kind of cucky. But yeah, Vivek can suck a dick. I don't care about Vivek Ramaswamy. Plus, he can't even win in your party because he's Indian and you guys are so fucking racist that even if you like Vivek, you know he can't win because he's Indian. Yet he's going in Ohio. He's in Ohio. He's struggling in Ohio. Fucking Ohio. That's like the easiest place to win. But you guys have so many fucking racists in your party that the fact that he's brown is a problem. He literally ran for president on I love Donald Trump and still couldn't get past 2%. You guys have problems over there. William said, boomer Dems in Congress have done a terrible job of passing their knowledge to younger generations. I want a 45-year-old who knows as much as Warren and Pelosi to protect our future. Yeah, maybe. Maybe they should just go away, though. We'll figure it out. Jill Stein 2028 says Ty. Daryl, thanks for jumping on the dollar train. I appreciate that. And then Chris said, was there a message with this? Can you please discuss transparent election initiative on the Montana ballot in November? It's legislation to end Citizens United. I know that Montana had done that before. I didn't know there was an initiative on the November ballot. I know Hawaii's doing it. Chris, that's the first time hearing that it's on the ballot in Montana in November. I honestly didn't know that. So I'll look into that and then we'll cover it. I know Hawaii's doing it. And I love that. Montana had kind of done it before, though. We'll see. I guess they're re-upping. Is that what happened? It had an expiration date. Can't remember what happened to the law in Montana, or if they reversed it, or if it just it needed to be re-upped and they didn't re-up it. I can't remember. But it's also Hawaii. I believe you that it's Montana, but it's also Hawaii. Hawaii's doing. In fact, I'll show it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll show that video. It's pretty cool. AP News reporting DOJ's open investigation into E. Jean Carroll. Yeah, I saw that. It's fucking gross. Donald Trump's gross. All right. Here is after Mike Flood. Here's Tom Ever. And just so you know, the problem with this fund to pay off the J6ers isn't that they're paying off J6ers. Tom Emmer here, the majority whip, is going to tell us what the real problem with this fund is.
It's pretty rich for them to suddenly claim we were creating a private cause of action for ourselves in the budget deal last year, which the House ultimately had to come back and take out. Literally, they were creating a fund for themselves because their privacy, because their security, because their persons were violated by the federal government with the Jack Smith thing. And now here they are complaining that we've got the same thing for Americans. And President Trump has said that's what it's for. We'll learn more from Todd Blanche as we go on, but I think Americans should look at this for what it is. You've got senators who think they are the only ones that are entitled to some type of a compensation, but Americans who are being attacked by their government, just ordinary citizens, aren't.
Well, that's incredible. I mean, this Arctic frost investigation, by the way, was so wide. What a wide net they had in terms of surveilling and spying on people and following ordinary.
This is so pathetic by Maria Bartiromo. They got their phone records. Not what they said in text messages or phone calls, just who they called. It was not broad. It was very specific. And it happens in every investigation ever. It's Arctic frost. What a fucking dud that turned out to be. Where are the prosecutions for Arctic frost, by the way? They promised us prosecutions for Arctic frost. Where are those?
People around.
Yeah, but I mean, the intellectual inconsistency, it's okay for the senators to have a claim, but it's not okay for the average American citizen.
That's a great point. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. Meanwhile, Senate Finance Committee Democrats are now calling for a hearing on this fund. They want to know more details on the anti-weaponization fund. Bipartisan House lawmakers also.
Oh, no, we want details. Look how mad they are when they're like, Can you believe the Democrats are asking for details? How dare they ask for details? Isn't this what we want? Don't we want transparency? How come we want transparency unless it's time for the Trump administration to give us transparency? Then we don't want it.
Legislation to limit or eliminate it entirely. So what's the problem here?
Well,
How did they get the phone records? They subpoenaed the phone records. They got a judge to sign off on it because they had a cause. They had a reason to subpoena the phone records, which was that, and this would have shown up in the J6 case, that these Republican lawmakers were meeting with the people who planned J6. They were literally coming to their offices, and on January 6th, people were communicating with Trump, and the charges against Trump, if you go back and you look at them, is basically that he knew this was going to happen. He knew that it was going to obstruct an official proceeding, and he didn't care. And in some instances, the accusation was that he worked with the people that planned it. So in order to make that case, you would have to show when people testify that they called Trump, or somebody says that, you know, let's say, just use Lindsey Graham for an example. We say Lindsey Graham called Trump on January 6th, and here's what I heard him say. Well, for Jack Smith, if Jack Smith wants to prove that happened because it's hearsay, he needs to be able to overcome that. He needs to be able to prove that phone call happened. So if somebody makes a claim that Lindsey Graham called Trump, you would subpoena the phone records to verify that at that time he did call Trump, and that goes to back up your story. This would happen in every single fucking investigation. It's just that it's a perpetual victim complex from everybody. There was nothing wrong with subpoenaing those phone records. It is a very normal thing. Very, very normal.
I think the problem right now is communication and information, right? I just pointed out to you just the total inconsistency with those that have election certificates versus the people that voted for them. Now we're talking about American citizens who have been targeted.
See this? Do you see this from Roland? You hate Trump because the mainstream legacy media outlets tell you to. That is cognitive dissonance, is what we're talking about. They will not engage in the actual criticism. They will not engage in fact-finding. They just tell themselves that the reason we don't like Trump is because we are told to not like Trump. That is a self-report, my friend. That is how your brain works. It's why every time we ask you for why you hate a certain politician on the left, you don't have an answer. That is how your brain operates. You think that everybody else operates like you. That's why you hate certain people. So you're like, oh, everybody else operates this way. No, that's what happens inside of cults. And when you're inside of a cult, you think that you're normal, and that the way that you operate and the way that people around you operate is normal operating procedure for everybody else, because that's the only thing you know. But it's not. It's not how everybody else operates. That's just you. My criticisms of Trump are very specific. We use the evidence every single day.
By their own government, having a recourse, a cause of action. And I think members who are opposing it right now or want more information, it came so sudden.
I don't like Trump, and I really hate the left. What does that make me? I think it makes you a pussy, honestly, because you say I hate the left. The left is not a monolith. The left is a broad view of people. To say I hate the left as if the left has any sort of coherent messaging is stupid. I think it's a lazy take, and I think you're trying to get brownie points by saying that you don't like Trump. Tell me who you don't like on the left. That's fine. But why are you putting the left together? Like, there's a vast difference between Bernie Sanders and Hakeem Jeffries. By saying I hate the left tells me you don't know much about the left side of politics, because it's completely fractured. Like, the most popular people on the left right now in elections, the Democratic establishment is going after them. They're attacking Graham Plattner. They're attacking Bernie Sanders. They're attacking Hassan Piker and anybody that Hassan Piker talks to. It just tells me that you don't have a very good understanding of what the left is. You've correctly identified that Donald Trump is a dipshit, but you're just like holding on to your beliefs that the left is bad. It feels overgeneralized to me.
Again, we wouldn't have been here but for what Democrats did to defund police, federal police at the federal level. We're here because that's what they did. This was added at the last minute. Todd Blanche is going to answer some questions. We'll see where it goes. I think it makes sense.
Do you expect...
Send that motherfucker. Thank you for joining the dollar train there. Daryl, thank you as well. From Jen. Trudy, Jesus. Trudy says, come on, people. Jay and Jen deserve better. Big W in the chat for Trudy. Trudy just wiped out our gift goal, and I appreciate that very much. Wow. We owe you one. Thank you, Trudy. Sorry, I'm a little blown away by that.
Yeah, big W for Trudy. I had to confirm that that wasn't an error. We appreciate you. So if everyone could say thank you, Trudy, in the chat, that would be fantastic.
All right. This is Stephen Miller's wife. She's very upset. She's regularly hysterical. And I know that there's some sexist overtones there, and I apologize. I feel like I'm using it accurately, but I recognize that that is a trope that is used against women. I try and use it against everybody who's hysterical, so I apologize for that language, but this is just the funniest tweet I saw all day. It has her so upset. I'm tired of Stephen Miller's wife, Katie Miller, crying on TV about people calling her white nationalist husband a fucking white nationalist. He's a white nationalist. That's what he is. And every time they do it, she's like, that's hateful. Yeah, he's one of the most hateful human beings ever to be a part of an administration. But here's what she's upset about. This made me laugh.
Your husband came under attack today when he said, like, the Democrats are, perhaps going to nominate their first transgender Senate candidate.
That's hateful. It's bigoted. It's incorrect. It's just, this is a transphobe white nationalist calling James Tallarico trans as if that's some sort of an insult. And at the Democrats responded back, "Shut up, you ugly fuck," which is fucking great. That's a great comeback. It's stupid what he said. It's bigoted. It just plays on transphobia, and that's a great comeback. Shut up, you ugly fuck. He is ugly. He is a fuck. He should shut up. That's a great tweet. No notes. That was the least amount of words. It was very effective. It was concise. That's a great tweet. Katie Miller's mad that they called her husband an ugly fuck, and not mad that her transphobe husband is trying to smear James Tallarico by calling him trans.
Talking about Tallarico, and they responded by just basically saying, "Shut up, you ugly F word," essentially. Any word
Fuck
for the
is
Democrats,
the word.
Their little Twitter account.
This is the same violent political rhtoric that is leading.
It's violent. It's not violent, and it's not political. They're commenting on his annoying tweet, and that he's ugly, and that he's a fuck. It's not violent, nor is it political.
People to shooting up, whether it be the White House Correspondents' Dinner or President Trump and Butler. But what it remains to be seen is...
All right, how about all the trans people who have been attacked? How about that? Your husband targeted an already targeted, marginalized community of people who do nothing but exist, and they get targeted by hatred. This is why I can't fucking stand these goddamn fucking losers. Shut the fuck up. If you're going to talk shit on the internet, people talk shit back. Shut your crying ass up. Honest to God, all of them. Shut the fuck up, you pussies. You called him trans. You tried to be a fucking bigot, and somebody said you were ugly and to shut the fuck up, and your crybaby ass goes on Fox News. There is nobody more thin-skinned than these bitch-ass MAGA Republicans. I'm fucking tired of pretending that these are not the most bitch-ass titty milk babies we've ever seen in our life. Shut the fuck up. Stop crying about every goddamn thing. How the fuck are you going to watch somebody, like you go after somebody. You literally targeted somebody politically with transphobia, and then somebody says, "Shut up, you're ugly," and you're like, "This is unfair. This is why there was an attempted assassination attempt." Shut the fuck up. Get in the arena and fight, or don't. But this is every Republican on earth. They come in, throw a sucker punch, they get punched back, and they're like, "I can't believe somebody hit me." Her privileged ass needs to get off TV. She's got a fucking podcast now, by the way. I think it's Spotify or CBS. Somebody's giving her a podcast. She's one of the most remarkably unremarkable human beings I've ever seen. Somehow also she is morphing into Stephen Miller. Like, she's adopting his facial expressions. 4 years ago, she didn't look exactly like Stephen Miller, but now she looks like Stephen Miller in a wig. That's what hatred does to you. It makes you look like fucking Voldemort.
This is an anonymous account, and it is run actually by a sad liberal woman named Paulina.
Oh, now they're doxing somebody. Somebody called your ugly ass husband, who looks like an anal polyp, by the way. They called him ugly and told him to shut the fuck up, and now you're doxing her and you're complaining about political violence and targeting. All right.
Which is why Pew says 50% of liberal women at some time have identified that they have a mental health disorder. And
Melanie, I show government documents all the time, and it's a dumb. I saw your question earlier. What do you use? Do you use news or government documents? I use both. There's not a government document for everything, you fucking dipshit. God damn. What a dumb fucking question. Do you always use government documents for your source? No. Sometimes the government documents aren't available. Also, spoiler alert, they lie in government documents all the fucking time. This is what I'm telling you. Like, this is cognitive dissonance all day, every fucking day. That's what this chat is. Just a bunch of fucking inbred MAGA. Like, well, do you use government documents? Sometimes. Sometimes we use news. Sometimes we use testimony. Sometimes we use opinion. It's a fucking commentary show. What the fuck do you think this is? The library? Sometimes I'm sharing my opinion. If you have an argument, make an argument. Not one of you punk bitches. For how many weeks has it been since one of these bitch-ass Republicans has had the courage to just talk to another human being? There's nothing that scares you more than using your words to defend your opinion. Every day we're like, come up here and talk. And you're like, I don't want to. I'm going to sit in the comments. Every fucking day. It's so tiresome to watch you cowardly little bitches every day. And then you turn on the TV, and it's no wonder that you're cowardly little bitches, because look at who you listen to. You called my husband ugly and told him to shut the fuck up. And now I'm on TV complaining about it. Somebody calls me ugly, trans, bald, gay, inbred every fucking day. Who cares? You're in the political sphere. People talk shit about you. Every day it's like, oh, you live in your mom's basement. Your dad abandoned you. You've got a tiny dick. You're low T. Whatever it is. Every day. Toughen the fuck up. Why are all Republicans such bitch-ass pussies? Every fucking one of them. Just crybaby bitch-ass pussies.
she is certainly one of them. What a sad state for the pathetic Democrat Party.
Oh, Pauline, poor Pauline. Katie and Chris, great to see both of you.
I mean, honestly, poor Katie. She has to fuck Stephen Miller. That's a tough gig. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And here's Stephen Miller, this notoriously nice guy. And here's what, this was insane. I don't know how you can still watch this guy. This is everything Stephen Miller's about to say, statistically, and I'm going to provide sources for you here, whoever that dipshit was, and they're not going to be government sources always, because those aren't always right, but everything Stephen Miller's about to say here is the exact opposite of truth. And MAGA in the chat is going to be like, this is all true.
A second point, Sean, is the American people understand the hell that we inherited and the extraordinary paradise that President Trump is building.
Extraordinary paradise. We inherited hell. All right. What was the hell that we inherited, and what is this extraordinary paradise?
From record inflation that we had under President Biden to the cost of living going down faster than it has ever gone down before.
The cost of living is going up. It has been going up this entire fucking presidency. What in the Christ is he talking about? Can MAGA, your turn. Melanie, your turn. Melanie, give me a document or a source that would say that the cost of living in America is going down. What in God's name are we fucking talking about here? No pushback from Sean Hannity, by the way. My food, gas, and utilities are cheaper. You're lying. What the fuck are you talking? No. Gas is more expensive. Food, more expensive. Utilities, more expensive. You lying sack of shit. Who is that? You're getting banned if you don't give us your city. Juice Burner. Maybe you're joking. Give us the city and state that you live in, and we're going to look at your gas prices and utility prices. Food's going to be hard. And you're banned forever. Look at the economy. Yeah, it's going poorly. I'm going to show you. It's going really fucking bad. Unemployment up, inflation up, GDP down, cost of living up, Americans saving money down. The only thing that's up is stock prices. Texas, all right. What city in Texas? You can give us county if you want, Juice Burner. Let's look this up. Give us the city in Texas. That's fucking crazy that you would say that. Yeah, all my prices are down. Yeah, for sure. For sure they are. Texas. Oh, we can just put Texas gas prices by month. That's fucking insane that you would even say that. That is insane. All right. Somebody watched for, who is it that said they were, I forget, Juice World or whatever your name was. All right. Trump took over in January 2025. Gas was $2.71. It's $4.04 now. Yeah. You want to explain, but except for in your town? Here it is. Hey, where's idiot? This is a government site. This is EIA.gov. EIA.gov. Melanie. Is that good for you? Juice Burner? Yeah, you're lying. All right, let's keep going with Stephen Miller.
From unaffordable energy to the great American energy boom. From
Let's look at energy prices. It was unaffordable, he's saying before, but now it's, we'll go to EIA.gov again. It was unaffordable before, but now it's affordable. All right. This is average price of electricity to ultimate consumers. I believe this is kilowatt per hour. What is this? How are they? Oh, yeah. Cents per kilowatt hour. That's what they're measuring here. January of 2025, it was $15.94, 15 cents per kilowatt hour. And now it's 18 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's gone up too. What the fuck? Why? What the fuck are you doing? All of you. They're just lying. They're literally telling you to your face, your prices are down. And some of you dipshits are like, oh, it is down. Oh, I guess it is. It's up. Everything's up. Prices are up. I can't fucking believe in 2026 that there are human beings that are seeing this and they're like, yeah, that's true. What fucking world do you live in? Are you unaware of the money that's in your accounts? Do you look at the price of things before you purchase them? Or you just, I don't look at prices anymore because the grocery store and the gas station are lying. I know that at the pump that it says I'm paying more to fill up my car, but everybody know gas stations are liberal and they're woke. It says I'm paying $100 to fill it up, but it's really $70. They're just woke liars. This is DEI. It's a DEI gas station. Like, what the fuck kind of world are we living in right now? Melanie said, I really, really hate that I feel like you're yelling at me every time you're yelling at this dipshit with your name. I apologize. Taking note said, MAGAs don't need read to verify source material. In fact, they voted to win politics altogether and have to never read again. I don't want to learn anymore. I'm voting for Trump. This is crazy.
From violence, bloodshed, and chaos in our streets, as I mentioned, to record public safety.
Did we have violence, bloodshed, and chaos in our streets before Trump took over? Did we have that? You want to see violent crime? Let's see if I can find national. I think here it is. Let's see if I can find a graph. Get out of here. Let's look at violent crime over the course of the last few decades. Yeah, here, there's a good one. This is from FBI. Now, this is only through 2021, and I can find another one. But like, violent crime has just been precipitously dropping in this country since the early 90s. And it lowered a little bit in the Trump administration too. And it lowered under the Biden, after you had an uptick during COVID, it lowered in the Biden administration too. Notice it went up during the first Trump administration and then leveled off. Right? Look at Obama. He was so bad. Look at this. Look at how under Obama, violent crime was just dropping, and then it went up during the Trump years, kind of leveled off, went down a little, and then up during the final year of the Trump presidency, and then it dropped down again. Like this is what happens when you just are in a cult and you just start believing what you're saying. Like, this is crazy talk from Stephen Miller.
Violence, bloodshed, and chaos in our streets, as I mentioned, to record public safety. From a wide open southern border, the mass invasion of our country, to the most secure border in American history.
Now, again, the open border thing is bullshit. The truth is that people, whether you want to say that you liked the border policy or not, if you're seeking asylum, you get to come. And if we wanted to change that, we could have changed the laws. But this wasn't like floods of people who were coming here illegally. Like, almost all of them were seeking asylum. If you go look at illegal border crossings during that same time, they were relatively low. What was way up was asylum seekers, not illegal border crossings. And it's also true that we have record lows for a lot of reasons. One, enforcement from the Trump administration. They've put more resources into making sure people don't come across the border. Two, there's questionable reporting of the numbers. Three, nobody wants to come here. We're having a problem. Like, you can see that across the board. Even people who want to come here legally aren't coming here anymore. Even people who want to come here to visit aren't coming here anymore. So there's a lot of reasons for that. And if you like that, that's fair enough. That's a win for you guys. So one thing Stephen Miller said that's true is that the border, there's less people crossing the border now than there has been in a while.
From woke policies that push transgender insanity and critical race theory and racism and prejudice in our schools to a world of sanity, a world of stability.
That's all crazy. I don't know of a single instance, and this is a challenge for you MAGA people. Can you give me a single instance where some sort of trans issue at a school was true? Something that they claimed was a big issue at a school. Can you just show me an instance where that was true? Because everyone I ever found, like, there was one at a school where my mom taught, my mom is like, I wouldn't say MAGA. She hates Donald Trump now, but she's deeply Republican and religious. Their school had staged a walkout because they had furries that were using like litter boxes. And I called my mom and I asked her about that. And she's like, that wasn't true. There was a group of kids who they weren't allowed to wear like their costumes during school, but at lunch they would put on like ears, and these were like 3rd and 4th graders. No, this was middle school. So these were 6th and 7th graders, I think, actually. They would just put on ears and they would pretend to be animals at recess, and then they put it back in their backpack and were just like regular kids. They were just playing pretend at recess, and there was a whole fucking walkout in Springville. It was Fox News covered it every day. It didn't happen. I don't think any of these things actually happened. They just tell you shit's happening that's not ever happening.
In a world of meritocracy, on every issue, President Trump has pushed policies that are the heart and soul of the American belief system, the mainstream center of what Americans believed, and he's led with competence, with courage, and with clarity. And the American people will reward that come November. I am sure of it.
Chris said this is every MAGA panel on TikTok. Yeah, that's true. But I don't want to hear from you today. But you have one chance to stay on topic today. This is your only chance. And we're not talking about California today. You talk about what we talk about, or we're going to get rid of you today. We've done this already with you a million times. TikTok Live is now restricted. Sorry about that. I probably deserved that one. That's probably fair. Juice Burner said, yeah, that's a lie. Middle school doesn't have recess. Lunch break. Sorry, yeah. Lunch break, not recess. You're right. During their lunch break. They don't call it recess. It's a Fox News story. Look it up. All right. Wasn't me said, the bad thing about being 56 is I can remember when things were in a basic living sense better. Before Reagan and the GOP made surviving so incredibly hard, my mother literally supported us working at a gas station. That's crazy. I used to be able to do that. Juice World, I noticed you didn't come back with any sources, right? You just came back to once again call me a liar. I'm sorry I misused the word recess and didn't call it lunch. That's my bad. Let's look at inflation since Trump took office, because remember, everything's going so well. Here's inflation. Donald Trump took office right here. Core inflation got down to 3.3% in April, and that's when we started the tariffs. And now PCE is at 3.8%, and core is at 3.3%. So inflation's up. 3.8% in April, the highest in 3 years. Core inflation highest since fall of 2023 when Biden was in office. So when Stephen Miller says inflation's down, he's lying, right? Of course he's lying. Remember, these are the people that told you, though, that, and this is what's so crazy about being MAGA, is that they're just still relying on predictions. This was Howard Lutnick in 2025. You should never trust these people ever again, because here's what Howard Lutnick, the genius, was telling you was going to happen.
So now everybody knows their tariff, right? So now you're going to see factories get built in America at a scale that you have never seen before.
Is that happening? Do we have factories being built in America at a scale that we've never seen before because of tariffs? Absolutely not. Is Howard Lutnick going to make hundreds of millions of dollars because he bought insurance contracts on the idea that these or sold insurance contracts on the idea that these tariffs would ultimately be overturned? Yeah. So he convinced, or he went out and lied to your face all day. He was like, "Oh, the tariffs are totally going to work." Then behind the scenes, his company's selling insurance contracts that were, when the tariffs got overturned, they would make hundreds of millions of dollars. And this is a guy who was glazing Donald Trump yesterday. When somebody asks, like, why do they glaze Donald Trump? Because that's all they have to do. They can glaze him and make a fortune, and he doesn't know the difference, because Donald Trump, before anything else, is fucking stupid. AI data centers are going up all over the United States. Is that what he's talking about here?
That you have never seen before.
What did he say?
Okay, America at a scale that everybody knows their tariff, right? So now you're going to see factories get built in America.
He was talking about tariffs and factories. Tariffs protect American production. So the tariffs were meant to bring back American manufacturing. See how you avoided the point there? See how you guys do this every time? See how you'd never know what they're talking about? You listen to respond, not to understand. And that's the main, the main through line of MAGA, is that they just don't understand anything. They just hear stuff and try and argue. The reason for tariffs was to bring back American manufacturing. It's not bringing back American manufacturing. I wish I had Trump's intelligent. No, I'm not interested in being incoherent con man. Donald Trump is the dumbest president, for sure the lowest IQ president that we've ever had. We can go read what he said yesterday again, and you can try and explain it to me if you want.
At a scale that you have never seen before. Okay, more than $10 trillion of factory build coming. All right, and so there's huge.
That didn't happen, did it?
Huge amount of construction jobs. So I would say the first quarter of next year will be the best quarter of construction jobs this country's ever seen, and that's going to roll all the way through 26. So I think you're going to see GDP growth next year over 4%.
You do 4%, 10 trillion over what period of time, Secretary?
Mr.
What's GDP growth? Is it 4%? Let's see what Fox Business they covered it this morning. What did they say it was? We had a revision. Remember, the Trump administration said GDP growth was 2%. Now what is it?
Let's start with what we saw with GDP for the first quarter. We're coming in with a rate of 1.6%.
Whoops.
So this is
1.6%. And what is that? What is 1.6% representing?
So this is a revision down for first quarter GDP. The first read was 2%. Now we're coming down with the second read.
Whoops. It's almost like these policies don't work. And if you were honest and not a MAGA dick rider, if you weren't just here to fillet Donald Trump, you would admit to yourself, oh, I guess these policies don't work. This is easy. This is the problem with American politics. When things aren't working, you won't admit it. What every Republican here that's been arguing with me will now do is deflect to Democrats. Would Democrats be any better? It didn't work. Tariffs cost us, the American consumer, billions of dollars. Now we have to refund those tariffs. It did not bring back American manufacturing. And now we are having to revise our GDP numbers down when we're getting the accurate data. GDP is at a trickle. We're not doing well.
1.6%. And
all right, let's now look at personal savings rates. Let's talk about Americans. How are Americans doing? This is, again, whoever that person was, this is from the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, same website here. In April of 2025, the savings rate, like the amount that the average American was able to save out of their money every month was 5.5%. It's now down to 2.6%. So Americans have less money in their pockets now. So not only is the economy not growing, unemployment is going up, Americans have less money. You can even look at, if we look at personal incomes here. This is I believe after adjusted for inflation and taxes. Personal income in the U.S. fell. See this? This is zero. This is the percentage of growth. It fell. Americans are making less money now too. Not only are things more expensive, but we're also making less money. And so what's the Trump administration's response to that? Let's trot out Stephen Miller, the spokesperson. What are we going to do to fix all of this?
And so the way most welfare works in most states and most places is we take your word for it. If you fill out a piece of paper and you say your kids are hungry, you are going to get food stamps. We don't.
It's the poor people. That's why we're struggling. It's poor people. It's food stamps. Now, this is a lie. He says that if you file for SNAP benefits, that you don't have to say if you have kids. That's not true. You can get SNAP without kids, but if you get SNAP and you want to include SNAP benefits for everybody in your family, you tell them who is in your family. So this is just another flat out lie from Stephen Miller, right next to J.D. Vance, who's about to run for president. No correction here.
We're going to get food stamps. We don't check as a country if you even have kids.
It's true that they don't come out to your house and verify that you have kids. They verify that your kids exist and that they have an identity. They don't come out and look inside of your home and go, yep, there's a kid there.
In fact, as basic as that. We don't even check if you even have children. You will just start getting the checks.
That's a lie.
So what's happened to our country is we became a society, as you've seen with the Somali refugee problem in Minnesota, where you have a large number of people that are not following the honor system. They're not playing by the rules. They're not abiding.
Buy your own food. Okay. This is what's wrong with you guys. That's not what we're talking about here. This is a response to Americans not being able to afford things. And the Trump administration's response to this is we should attack poor people. How is this a response to Americans not making as much money, Americans not saving as much money, inflation going up, and the cost of goods going up? How is the response to that is, oh, we're going, even if you cut SNAP benefits, that doesn't benefit you. It's not like the government's going to cut these benefits and then give you more money. You see how this is incoherent? No, I don't, because it's MAGA. They're great. Stephen Miller's great. Jacob said, I couldn't remember his name, Lutnick, and could only recall the name Nutlick because of you. Thanks for the laugh. Jacob, a big donation there, $50 coming through on Venmo. Thank you so much. That was very generous. W. Jacob in the chat. Jamar said, I was going to say you have low T, you have a small dick, and you got to watch that hairline, but you said most of it already. Yeah, I was way ahead of you.
By our laws. And the amount that has been fleeced from us is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. I believe, based on what I've seen and what I've heard, is that we could balance the federal budget if the only dollars that went out of the Treasury went to individuals who were properly, lawfully, correctly eligible to receive them. And that ultimately...
Notice how he said, I believe that, and not here's the data on that? Because there's no data on that. There's absolutely no data that says that that would balance the budget. In fact, we do know what doesn't balance the budget. This is an analysis done through Bobby Kogan. He took the CBO, OMB, CRFB, and census and measuring worth data and created this chart. What you'll see here is in blue. This is the primary deficit. This is the deficit for our country, our spending deficit. So obviously, if you're above this line, we're in deficit spending. If you're below this line, then if you're below the line, you're in deficit spending. If you're above the line, you're in surplus. So this is the deficit spending. And this orange line that we tick in is what the primary deficit would be without the Bush tax cuts and the Trump tax cuts. Look what happens. We would have a surplus right here. we would be in a surplus. This is actual right here. This is a surplus. That's from 2003. These tax cuts are what are driving us into deficit spending. You're right. We had a surplus in like 2001. It was right here. Then we have these massive tax cuts and we run deficits. But we could have got out of that, and currently we'd be in a surplus. Fiscal conservatism is spend more than you bring in. Conservatives' policy is not to cut spending, not to cut deficits. It's spend a lot and bring in less in taxes. Are data centers considered factories? No, they don't. No, of course not. And tariffs have nothing to, like, let me help you this way. What he was talking about there was tariffs, like the effects of tariffs. The reason that they were talking about putting tariffs on other countries is because they believe, rightfully so, that American manufacturing left to other countries where labor costs were lower. And so in order to reshore American manufacturing jobs, you needed to make the products that were being shipped from those countries to the United States more expensive. The only way that you can do that as a government is to tax Americans more if they buy foreign products. So for example, Joe Biden put 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. It's not a total ban, but if you want to buy a BYD, which let's say is $35,000, and you're comparing it to a model Tesla 3, which I think is like $45,000, you'd think, oh, I'll save $10,000 and get the BYD. So you order the BYD from China, you pay them $35,000, and they ship it to the United States. You paid BYD $35,000. That's what they get. When it gets to the United States and you go down to the port to pick up your car, Border Patrol or Customs and Border, is going to say, okay, we need another $35,000. You say, what's that for? It's a tariff. We have a 100% tariff. So the entire purchase price that you paid for this, there's a 100% tariff. So now you try to save $10,000, but your car's $70,000. So you didn't save money. So what does that force Americans to do? They're going to buy the Tesla Model 3 because it's not worth double. That's what, and so that increases purchases of American electric vehicles. That is an example of when a tariff protects American manufacturing. I hate it, for the record. I'm not a big fan of that. But that's an example of it working. So when Howard Lutnick was explaining that these tariffs are going to reshore manufacturing jobs, he was talking about things like steel fabrication, auto manufacturing, chip manufacturing, computer, like electronic manufacturing, and that we would put tariffs on these products from China, and it would bring back these manufacturing jobs. Well, it didn't happen. So when you start talking about AI data centers, what you're doing is you're taking another area of growth and you're attributing it to the tariffs, but those things aren't connected. So what they said was wrong. There are new construction projects from AI data centers. 50% of those now have been canceled, by the way. So all those projections of the jobs. And we know they were never serious anyway. If you remember when Zuckerberg was in the White House, he was like, Trump asked him, like, how much do you intend on investing in data centers in the next 10 years or something? He's like, I think it's somewhere around like, I don't remember the number. I think he said like $300 billion. They're like, oh, okay. And then they counted that for the investment, like that had been committed. And then Zuckerberg didn't know he was on the mic, and he's like leaning over to Trump. He's like, I didn't know what you wanted me to say, so I just made up a number. And they're nowhere near that investment. In fact, Meta has pulled most of their investments. Meta's in deep financial trouble right now. They're never going to make that investment. But hopefully that explains it for you. So Otani says, how do you feel about pushing who the 2028 candidate will be for the right? I feel the sooner we get the right to confront that, the better. Well, I don't know. I think it's going to be Rubio or J.D. Vance. I don't know if that's what you're asking.
Ultimately, is going to be what we have to do as a country. In the meantime, because of the vice president's leadership, you are seeing the most muscular, robust, aggressive, dedicated, determined, and speedy effort to shut down criminal fraud that has not only ever occurred in the history of this country, but in any developed nation.
That's insane. That's never happened. Can somebody tell me one example of fraud that J.D. Vance and his team have uncovered and stopped? Muscular. Yeah, he's just horny. Yeah. He's just horny for this. Stacy said, I saw a meme that said Stephen Miller is what happens when you bury a dildo in the pet cemetery. That's devastating. Yeah, that's not way off. All right, how much time we got? About 30 more minutes. Okay. Where do we go? Okay. I also want to remind you, as he takes a shot at immigrants, which they love doing, just a reminder of a study from the Cato Institute. I don't remember who it was yesterday that was citing the Cato Institute, and I don't even remember what they were citing. But I figured MAGA Republicans, you would like this. This is according to I think it was 20 years since 1994. So yeah, and I think it came out last year. So it was a 21-year study. The Cato study said immigrants reduced deficits by 14.5 trillion since 1994. Now, you can't necessarily just apply that to the debt, but let's just say that we can apply that to the debt because deficit spending is a little weird and we could have changed things. But let's just say, all in all, things are the same. That would take us from 39 trillion in debt to 53 trillion in debt if we didn't have immigrants in this country. That's legal and illegal immigrants. 31 years. Sorry. Yeah, 31.
In March, White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller claimed in the Oval Office, quote, the extraction of wealth from American taxpayers to people who don't belong here is the primary cause of the national debt. But research from the Cato Institute, a libertarian think tank, disputes that. It found that the fiscal surplus from all immigrants from 1994 to 2023 was $14.5 trillion.
Yeah, the question I asked was, you said J.D. Vance unveiled the Medicare fraud costing $22 billion so far. What I asked is, what has he stopped? I saw what J.D. Vance said. Those are claims that there's that much in fraud. He has not proven that fraud to be true. And they haven't done anything to stop any of that fraud. It's just a claim they made. It is crazy what you guys are willing to give people credit for. Hey, they said there's $22 billion in fraud. Yay. Okay, fix it. Prove that the fraud's there and then fix it. And then we'll give you credit.
Compared with a deficit of $48 trillion without immigrants.
Thanks, Vicki.
That means that immigrants cut deficits by nearly a third in real terms over the last 3 decades. Even low-skilled immigrants, those without bachelor's degrees, reduced the debt by
I'm clipping that bad math. I want my $100. Yeah, that was embarrassing bad math there.
$2.8 trillion. And illegal immigrants likely reduced the deficit by at least $1.7 trillion. Not only that, every year since 1994, when data collection began, immigrants have paid more in taxes than they received in benefits from the federal, state, and local governments. Immigrants also pay more in taxes than the average person.
I did ask you. You did give me an answer. It wasn't an answer to what I was looking for. Maybe I could have worded it better. I don't remember exactly the words I said, but what I was asking for was because he said it was so muscular, right, and that he was fixing the fraud. So far, he's just claimed fraud. I haven't seen him fix or prove fraud.
The Cato Institute explains that's because they work at much higher rates. They end up with a higher per capita incomes and pay more in taxes than their share of the population predicts.
There you go. So as Stephen Miller blames immigrants for our budget deficits and says without them we would have a surplus, he's wrong. He's lying to you because he's a bigot and he just hates immigrants and they want to blame everybody but this administration. Here is, I'm trying to remember his name. Is it going to say his name? He's a Republican strategist. I think his last name's like Seat or something. Let me go through. Pete Seat. He was Bush's White House spokesman. Now he's just a Republican operative on CNN. We have obviously increased food insecurity in this country now, as people have less disposable income and the price of gas and food is going up. And we know that the price of food is going to go up even more. Fertilizer costs are through the roof. Fuel costs are through the roof. And this takes a while to cycle through. So while gas prices go up immediately, and you're seeing that right now, those changes to your food prices are in the future. Because the food that you're seeing in the grocery store right now has already been paid for. It's already been bought. It's like the price of fuel has already been included in that delivery. But as the price of fuel funnels through the production process, the price of food obviously has to go up. So we're looking at the months coming up. Like we're going to see food prices go up even more. And that's a self-inflicted wound by the Republicans, by Donald Trump. because of tariffs and because of this war on Iran. And so they've got to come up with some sort of messaging of how do we message this so that we win in the midterms and don't lose control. And they're trotting this out. This is what Pete's seat is suggesting now.
Well,
it's
no.
February 2020.
Yeah, that's the pandemic. Like the whole country shut down in 2020. Like that era, compared to that era, there's more food insecurity. That should be a real red flag for policymakers.
Renee, I'm not Google. You have a phone. If you want to know how what the total amount of taxes that people who are here illegally have paid into the system, fucking Google it. Google it. Find a good source. I'm not your Google.
It absolutely should be. It's heartbreaking to know that so many Americans feel that they are food insecure and that they can't afford their next meal, that they're skipping meals. And there are a lot of contributing factors. Obviously, cost is one of those. Food deserts is another one. I think politicians are a contributing factor to the sentiment because they're not being honest. From the president to members of Congress are not being honest about what they can and cannot do to tackle affordability. There are things Congress can do. You would know it better than anyone at this table, former member of Congress.
Yeah, like pulling us out of this dog shit war. That's something our Congress could do. They could do what Harris recommended, and that we put a limit on the amount you can raise food prices when there's a pandemic, so you can't gouge the American consumer. Of course, that was socialism. So MAGA's like, we have to allow Walmart to fuck us over. We have to allow them to gouge us because that's freedom. You could do that, but again, afraid of Democrats, afraid of socialism, can't do any of that. We can't do anything because Republicans won't ever do anything. They will do nothing to protect your prices, and they'll just go start wars for no fucking reason that drive up all our costs.
And there are things they can't do, but the campaign trail is littered with promise after promise that politicians cannot keep, which causes a lot of this anxiety. Another thing that I would throw into the equation is, and I know this is anecdotal, but I think it's part of it, is irresponsible consumerism. There are a lot of Americans, I think.
How about war? How about war, Republicans? Stop trotting this out. And who is that bitch that just said that? Scotty B. Let your crybabies be better managing your money and stop wasting it. Shut the fuck up. How about that? You're a Republican. Shut the fuck up. You guys don't get to talk about managing money. You blow money like it's your fucking job. You drive us into deficits like it's your fucking job. You don't get to talk about fiscal responsibility while supporting Republicans. You don't get to say a goddamn word about that. Don't go to war. Don't drag us into a senseless war and drive our prices up. You don't get to raise the prices and be like, you should have seen it coming. Shut the fuck up. Vote for better people. This is pathetic by the GOP. This is completely self-inflicted. Completely and totally self-inflicted because of the dumbest fucking trade policy ever to exist in this country, because we have an absolute dipshit at the helm who doesn't understand how to effectively use tariffs, doesn't seem to know who pays tariffs, doesn't seem to know how a tariff operates, and he raised the cost of goods on all of us for no fucking reason. He didn't get a single fucking trade deal done. China is just repeatedly slapping his ass and saying good boy while they decimate us over and over and over again. They're literally right now devaluing our currency, and Donald Trump's too stupid to even get it. They're dominating us in energy. Trump can go out on TV every single day and be like, we're energy dominant. How the fuck are you energy dominant? China's making 10 times our energy, including in renewable energy. We are nowhere near energy dominant. We're not even energy independent. China is beating our ass at every turn. And it's just these Republicans are like, America will always be the greatest. I'm so tired of the dumbest people in this country going, budget your money better. No, you guys budget better. It shouldn't be on Americans to predict that the dumbest fucking person on earth is going to win because he has the dumbest fucking voting base on earth, and then he's going to do the dumbest fucking things possible and have the dumbest fucking economy in the history of this country, full entirely of self-inflicted wounds, and then you want to blame the people. This is why, unless you guys can figure out how to cheat in the midterms, you're fucked. Because you're telling the American people, yeah, we raised all your prices, but really this is your fault. Look what he says here.
And I know my friends do this, rather than go to the grocery store and stock up for what they need that
For the record, you should move to Cuba if you don't like America. I like America. I don't like you. I don't like fucking idiots. I don't like Donald Trump. I don't like the amount of idiots that are in this country. I love this country. I've traveled this country. I've lived in like 33 states. I fucking love America. I don't like you. I don't like dumb people. And more importantly, I don't like dumb people who are so goddamn confidently dumb that they remain dumb seemingly on purpose. I don't want to leave. I want you to read. I would like you to learn about math. I would like you to learn about economics. I would like you to learn about trade. I would like you to learn about supply chain, which is easy because we have AI now and we have access to the internet. And you could understand any of this if you spent 2 hours of your time learning something instead of opening your dumb fucking mouths every fucking day to defend the dumbest fucking administration that's ever existed. I love our country. I wish you would stop fucking it up and then confidently saying that you're not. And you always get mad at everybody who steps in the way. Like, hey, we're going to step in and we're going to fix this. And you're like, that's communism. I'm tired of you. I'm tired of red states. I'm tired of your dog shit education. I'm tired of you thinking that Jesus is going to step in any day now and just solve all of these problems. I'm tired of your racism. I'm tired of your bigotry. I'm tired of you being afraid of trans people. I'm tired of you being afraid of women. I'm tired of you being afraid of being called racist. I'm tired of you being afraid of Iran. I'm tired of you being afraid of every fucking thing, including your own shadow, all the goddamn time, so that you live in a state of hysteria that is so fucking convoluted that literally none of you know what is true and what is not. You don't know your ass from the hole in the ground because you are bombarded by fucking dipshits who lie to you every day like Stephen Miller. And so you're so confused that the only thing you know, legitimately, the only fucking thing that you know is that you hate Democrats. And that's fucking it. And I mean, that is fucking it. Every goddamn day on this show, I ask you guys to tell me one fucking thing you believe that is true, and you fail every fucking day. Every goddamn day. I'll be like, name one thing that's true. And you're like, Bernie Sanders is a billionaire. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Every fucking day. You don't know any things at all. Not one thing. I beg you to come up here and talk. Won't do it. I'm tired of you, and stop pretending like we should leave America. If we leave America, you're fucked. You're completely and totally fucked if we leave. It's like a toddler. Like I had a toddler. She's older now, but like my daughter used to get so mad. I remember one time she screamed at me for an hour because she went to touch the stove and I pulled her away so she couldn't touch the stove. And she was so mad at me. She kept coming up trying to touch the stove over and over, and I grabbed her and she was so mad. She wouldn't give me a hug. She wouldn't even look at me for a couple hours. That's what it's like living in a country with MAGA. We're just repeatedly like, no, don't start a world war. I want to start a world war. Nope, don't ruin the stock market. Don't crash the markets. Nope, don't give all your money away to billionaires. Nope, don't hand over our national security to tech oligarchs. I wanna. They deserve it. They deserve all of our secrets. Nope, we don't want to enter into a police state totally. I want it. We don't want roving gangs of brown shirts. I want to do the Nazi thing. And we just pull you away and you're mad at us. But that's what it's like living with you. And I think maybe that's why I can do this job, because like I've had a toddler and I know what it's like, but that's legitimately how it feels dealing with MAGA every single day. It is pathetic. It's sad. It's infuriating. And unlike my toddler, you motherfuckers won't grow out of it because you've been doing it for 10 years. She's 6 now. She knows not to touch the stove. You guys are still like, let me touch the stove. Anybody who won't let me touch a stove is a communist. It's fucking infuriating to be lectured by the dumbest people on the planet.
Week, they order DoorDash or Uber Eats and pay massive premiums for convenience and then say, you know what? I'm going to skip the next meal because I can't afford it. There are decisions that we make in the name of convenience.
That's quite an argument.
Wow.
That is quite.
DoorDash is the problem, by the way, not Donald Trump. That's what they're going with. Stephen Miller said it's SNAP recipients and immigrants. Pete Seaton over here is like, DoorDash is actually the problem. That's the biggest problem in this country is too many people are doing DoorDash. Well, is DoorDash evil? Are you advocating that we stop using DoorDash and attack America? I don't use DoorDash very often. I don't know the last time I did use DoorDash, but that's the problem for sure. It's DoorDash that's the problem. How about if you guys are serious about that? How about there not be an option on DoorDash to split your payment into 4? How about that? How about we make laws so that these giant behemoths can't drive us into debt? No, we can't do that. That's socialism.
But there's something to it. I think there is something to it. I think a lot of people like the convenience.
Friends, who I'm assuming are probably fairly educated.
Amy said, blue states pay for America and red states and their welfare. Yeah, you guys are fucking leeches. Every one of you that's in a red state right now, you're welcome. Make sure to thank a Democrat today for paying all your fucking bills. Illusion said, your rants today deserve extra credit. Thank you. My lady Nana said, here's me doing what I want with my money. Appreciate that. Ox Black says, we'll be great again in 2 weeks.
As an example,
Your
but
friends
I think
are
there
not
are
the friends we're talking about when we're discussing the
I
real
think
life
there are
issues that
millions
people
of
are
Americans who make that choice because it's convenient to have something delivered because they're busy, and it costs a lot more than possibly doing something that we never learned how to cook.
I don't want to be. I don't want us to get. I don't want us to go down too far that rabbit hole because we do know that grocery prices, not DoorDash prices, grocery prices
are out of control.
Are
Both red and blue states are
leeches. That's not possible, Chris. That's not possible. Someone has to pay the bills. Which, if you want to see who the leech is, because the leech. You know what a leech is, right? If you've ever swam in a swamp, they're all over the South. A leech comes in and it sucks out your blood. It takes. It's a taker. It gives you nothing. So if you want to find out which states are leeches, you would say, how much do they take from the federal government versus how much do they give? If they give more than they take, they're not a leech. If they take more than they give, they're the leech. This is very simple. And that's just MAGA. Both sides are actually bad. Go look it up. I want to take back my entire rant. It's not just MAGA I'm sick of. I'm also sick of fucking fence sitters. Like, at least MAGA takes a position. You guys, actually, everybody is bad equally. It's just all bad equally. Just don't comment. Just don't. This isn't a place for that. I know sometimes maybe you feel left out. Don't do that. Don't do the both sides shit. That's dumb. Especially because we're just talking about math here. This is basic math.
Going up. So the people who are getting out of their houses, going to the grocery store, buying food, cooking it in their homes, that is also going up. I do.
I'm not a fence sitter. How dare you say that? How the fuck would you call me a fence sitter? Nobody's ever called me a fence sitter. That's crazy. Draco Zero said, for the mighties, I'm throwing my pennies at you. Make sure that you breathe after your rants. Keep cute and cool. Thank you. I'll do my best. Sometimes I forget to breathe. That's a good reminder. I feel good after a rant. I feel like I need that. I sometimes need that out. Robin, thank you very much. All right. I want to go. I'm glad we talked about this earlier, but I want to talk about Ashley St. Clair real quick, and then we'll get out of here. And again, for the people in our chat on the left, I don't believe that there's a problem with platforming Ashley St. Clair right now. I think there's plenty of criticism for Ashley St. Clair. As somebody who has changed, I think everybody has the ability to change. I'm not vouching for her changing. I'm not vouching for her views or discounting the harmful shit that she's done. What I am saying is that if we want to know the inside details of MAGA, we're going to have to get those inside details from people that were in MAGA. We're not going to get them. And so I do think that although Ashley St. Clair on appearances seems to be like maybe just going from being a pick-me on the right to being a pick-me on the left, or maybe she was just enamored with Hassan. I might do the same thing. If I was with Hassan, I might flirt with him as well. So who knows? But she's giving important information, and I don't have a problem with the people that are platforming her right now, because only she could have this information, and I appreciate that about her. And I think that whatever you think of her politics or her motivations, she's putting herself at risk. It is a brave thing to do what she's doing. Even if she doesn't even mean to do it bravely, she's turning against a lot of very, very powerful people. Darren said, holy hell, I've missed Jay. Thank you, Darren. And Darren for the $50 over on Venmo. Janelle said, I will never tire of your rants. Thank you. I get a little tired sometimes. Here's Ashley St. Clair to talk about Stephen Miller on what's this podcast called again? I forget what it's called.
How racist
I've had it podcast. That's what it is. It's right there.
is the movement?
It's pretty racist.
That's what I mean. I think it's just, would you say that's at the epicenter of it?
You know, I've texted from Stephen Miller where he's like, we need white boy
What?
November. Oh, yeah.
You have texts from Stephen Miller?
He used to text me every day during the election. He's like, share this. Every time I've seen him, he's sitting down at the board with a drink. So, don't know.
But what would he text you? We need what?
White Boy November. He's like, we need the white boys. This is going to be White Boy November. Like, he's just a loser. And so, like, he's begging me for retweets. He's like, we need to get
Wait, hold on. So that guy is reaching out to you to reach.
Oh, yeah. I think they're just hateful racists. Like, I think that what bonds
You
them
don't
together
say.
is hate and that they weren't cool in high school. Like, they're really,
I don't know about that one.
These people are so deeply insecure.
There you go. Yeah, that's what binds the GOP. Volts, I just want to be clear real quick. I appreciate you clipping my content. Thank you. Doing a little bit of work for me. I hope you share that. And I appreciate you putting in legwork for this show. Thank you. I do want to say one more thing that you can call my rant a meltdown, whatever it is. It felt like a meltdown. It wasn't directed at you. You don't get credit for that. That was somebody else who told me to move from America. So just to be clear, you weren't good enough at trolling to cause that meltdown. That was somebody else, whatever you want to call it. You didn't do that. But thank you for clipping my content and sharing it. And I encourage all of you to clip my content and share it. It goes a long way to help me out. I hope that you send that out to as many followers as you have, Volts and Bolts. Thank you very much for engaging. Let's see. James said, please debate Volts. Here's your pennies for that imaginary avocado toast. Well, Volts is a fucking pussy. Volts is never going to debate me. Volts is going to sit in the chat and we could probably go a beat off later to the fact that he thinks he made me yell. But the one thing that we all know about Volts is it's been 3.5 hours now, and that bitch is still in the comments. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to go up there. Just going to be a little bitch in the comments, which is fine. You're welcome to be a bitch here. We welcome bitches each and every day. There's a lot of you, and it goes a long way to help our show. So thank you. All right, last one here, Ashley St. Clair, and I for the record, what she's saying here, she could be sued for. So I'm guessing she has receipts for this. I'm guessing those receipts are real. She went on Zateo and drops a bomb, and I'll give her credit for this. I don't think a lot of people would turn down the amount of money that she has turned down in order to stay quiet. I think a lot of people would just be quiet and turn down the money that she turned down. She didn't do that. I'll give her credit for that. My hope for Ashley St. Clair is that she is young and she made a lot of dumb decisions, and she got in with a bad crowd, and maybe she didn't have the self-worth or self-esteem that she should have had. And hopefully, it sounds like now she's in college. She's going back to get a degree. My hope for her is that she learns, she grows, and that 20 years from now, she's an advocate for people that she's harmed. I appreciate some of the words she's saying, and I think that everybody should wait to judge her. Whether like saying that she's changed or she hasn't changed. I think she, like all people who have hurt people, deserve a second chance if they're willing to continuously work on it. So I'm willing to say to Ashley St. Clair or anybody like that, if you're showing that you're always trying to learn and improve, you've got a friend in me.
You've said that seeing your old tweets full of hateful, bigoted remarks is a rather horrifying.
How do I ever convince a MAGA to join your side when all you do is call them names and treat them like lower life forms? I don't expect most of you to join my side, and I don't think that there's anything that I could say to get you to join my side. I think that if you're in here trolling me, you're never going to join my side anyways, but you're out of your fucking mind if you don't think that MAGA people have joined our side. They do it all the time. Happens all the time. Happened to Ashley St. Clair. How many people talk? Every one of these platforms she's on now has called her stupid. Everyone has talked shit about her. What happens is once you find out you're wrong, you don't really care that people talk shit about you because you're wrong and you understand their anger. And that's where she's at. Until you realize that you're wrong, it doesn't fucking matter what we say. But one day, if you figure out that you were wrong about this and you figure out how wrong you were, you're going to be like, you know what? I was a fucking idiot. A lot of people called me a fucking idiot. A lot of people talked a lot of shit to me. They're my friends now. The person that I argued with the most about politics, who said some mean things to me, one of my closest friends. I don't expect you to change overnight, and I don't expect you to change until you realize that you're wrong. But honestly, if you're the kind of person who won't change because somebody calls you names, then that's probably why you're MAGA in the first place. You're thin-skinned and you're kind of a bitch. Toughen up. I'm not a soft landing spot necessarily for everybody, but if you make real changes, we'll talk. I'll be your biggest advocate. This chat knows I've advocated for some people they don't like. Advocating for Ashley St. Clair. I'm sure I haven't seen all the comments. I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't like Ashley St. Clair. But anyway, let me play this.
You've said that seeing your old tweets full of hateful, bigoted remarks is a rather horrifying experience today. But many conservatives don't even think of those posts as hate-filled. They genuinely believe those are...
I need to question my own beliefs. Bitch, I was a Republican in a fucking cult. 8 years ago, I was a Republican in a fucking cult. My beliefs, everybody who's followed me knows my beliefs have changed since I started this. The one through line in the last 8 years of my life is constantly challenging my beliefs. This chat has corrected me. This chat has changed my beliefs. I've brought on people when I was wrong and had them challenge and change my beliefs. Like, that's the one. If you're going to criticize me for things, you can be like, say I'm too emotional, I cuss too much, maybe I yell at people, I stumble over my words sometimes. I use the wrong word sometimes. There's plenty of things you could criticize me for, but criticizing me for not being open-minded is fucking stupid. If you followed me at all, that's like the one thing I am is open-minded.
Christian or godly or morally correct take. So as someone who's been on both sides of this divide, I have to ask, what was your wake-up call? What did you read? What did you see? Who did you talk to that made you think, you know what, I've gotten this all wrong for the last few years?
There were a lot of things. It happened slowly and then all at once. So there were moments that I would have friends who were trans that I was like, oh, wow, these are not actually evil people who want to trans all the children. There were moments that I would read certain items, and I'm embarrassed to say, but I had never read a slave narrative until my mid-20s. And there's a reason that they want to keep people away from CRT, from certain language, the information sequestering that they do. You're not allowed to read the mainstream media. All of these things are labeled as propaganda. Don't trust your professors. In fact,
Darren, for the last time, no, you're not. The Dems policies are so bad. Never hear you talk about it. One, you're a liar. You've probably just never seen me because I criticize the Democrats all the time. Two, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a part of any party. I'm technically a registered Republican. And if you have watched this show more than for the last 2 days, you know I constantly criticize Democrats. So don't lie to make yourself. And that's just you projecting. That's you. You'll never criticize Trump. I criticize the Democrats fucking nonstop.
You should report them to Charlie Kirk's professor watch list. And then there was a moment where I had to make a decision, which I was offered something rather substantial to not speak. And once you receive an offer like that, it really makes you stop and consider the gravity of your words, why your voice is worth so much money, and make a decision on your integrity and if you actually want to have any.
You turned down that offer?
I did.
Was it from Elon Musk?
I'm not at liberty to discuss, but I've turned down enough money that it is the GDP of a small nation.
Wow. Wonder how small a nation. Many who are skeptical of you attribute your shift to being burned by Elon Musk and MAGA. What do you say to your critics on the liberal left who believe your new views are just a convenient way to retaliate against your old friends?
Well, first of all, I'm not making any money from this. I'm back in school. I just finished out my semester with 22 credits, and I plan to go to law school. That's what I want to do. I want to start fighting and making amends within the system that I believe is perpetuating a lot of harm. And secondly, people are putting the chicken before the egg or the horse before the carriage, because when I came out publicly, I knew what the reaction of MAGA was going to be. I was within this cult for almost a decade. I knew exactly how they were going to respond to me. And I was ready to be ostracized. I was ready to be done with MAGA and that cult.
All right. I appreciate that. Your ranting doesn't mean you're right. It kind of makes you seem like you have little intelligence. It's true. Ranting doesn't make me right. But if you think somebody ranting means they have little intelligence, I think that says a lot more about your intelligence, right? People can rant and be intelligent. What none of you are ever going to do is use your voice and use data to come up and just prove me wrong. There's a reason people don't debate with me anymore. There's a reason that this show is the way that it is. And the reason, and I don't think like I'm super intelligent, for the record. I really don't. I don't take positions unless I have the data to back them. I won't engage in, like, I get offered, if you went through my Gen Cinum, like, I get offered debates all the time. and it's like a left versus right debate, but it's a position that I don't really hold. I don't hold the same opinion as like a majority of Democrats, so I don't take those debates. The reason people don't debate with me anymore is because I only hold principled positions. I'm not going to debate dumb shit. But that's why none of you will come up here. So to say, you might not think I'm intelligent. That's okay. But saying that somebody who rants means they're not intelligent, that's silly. And for the record, that's off the top. Like, there's no script here. This is 3.5 hours. I do it for 3.5 hours a day speaking to you. None of you will come up here. So whatever you think of me and my intelligence level, wherever it is, I have no idea where it is. I'm sure there's a lot of people far smarter than me. Wherever that is, I'm doing something you're not doing. I'm doing something you're not willing to do. I'll give you a platform. We offer you a platform every single day to come up here and talk. I want to talk to you. And you can go back and you can watch any debate I've ever had. It's not me screaming over them. It's me having a debate. I want to talk to you. I want to know what makes you tick. I would love that. The problem is you won't do it. And I think that there's a reason for that. And I think the reason that the debates have dried up largely all across the internet is because anybody with a brain isn't going to defend MAGA anymore. Anybody with any principles, you just can't. And so what's left is a bunch of like dipshits. Blood is not Dean Withers. Yeah, I hadn't seen Dean's stuff for a long time. I watched yesterday. Good Lord, the people that are coming up on there are dumber than ever. Dean's bored. Dean's bored out of his fucking mind. I've known Dean since before Dean was popular. And Dean's brilliant, for the record. And he's a much better debater than I am. But like, he's bored out of his fucking mind. He can't even find himself a good debate. He has to debate Emily Saves America, who's operating on 4 brain cells and talking points that are handed to her by her overlords, Benny Johnson. So don't mind the insults. They don't hurt. But I would love for one of you guys, one of these times, and we'll give you another opportunity tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here wherever you're watching. I would invite you to come up and challenge your own beliefs. You can challenge my beliefs too. You can bring as much data as you want. I'll pull up your sources. You can message Jen on Discord. You can schedule a debate if you want to. And if somebody wants to clip this and put it out, like, anytime, any place, anywhere, if a Republican wants to debate me about something that I believe, I'm happy to do it. I don't think you're happy to do it, Republicans. I don't think you guys want to go anywhere near what we're talking about, because what I would like to talk about is getting money out of politics. What I would like to talk about is fixing our broken healthcare system with single-payer healthcare. What I would talk about is ending the handouts to the oligarchs. What I would like to talk about is government corruption on a scale that we haven't seen before. And if any Republican, big or small, I don't care if you have 1 follower, 0 followers, 1 million followers, I don't care. If you want to have the debate, I'll take the debate. But at some point, one of you guys needs to get some fucking courage. Or just admit that it's a grift, I guess. Admit that you're in it for like the party politics and this is all about, it's all about you guys making money. And for the record, every single person on your side of the aisle that has a following is legitimately a fucking grifter, and they have no courage. They will not debate anybody. The one guy that would debate was Charlie Kirk, and he's dead. The rest of you guys are fucking cowards. So what happened to that kid that was replacing Charlie Kirk? Has anybody seen him? Where is he at? Doing scripted speeches at Turning Point USA? What's Benny Johnson doing? What's Ben Shapiro doing? Who on your side has some courage? Any of them? Probably not, right? All right, guys, that's it for me. I'm gonna take off. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. I'm checking messages one last time. I think I got all of them. If I missed them, I apologize for that. If you'd like to join our Discord, that is free. It is a place for like-minded individuals. It's not a place necessarily for debate. So if you're conservative and you want to jump in there, just know we don't really want somebody to come in and fuck it all up. So if you're causing problems, we will boot you. But if you just want a place to get sources, every source that we cover on this show is available in the Discord. You can message Jen at JenDub1 on Discord, and she'll get you an invite into there. Is that you, Jen? Did I hear you?
Yeah, I don't let opposition into Discord, so
there we go.
I will verify who you are before I let you in. So yeah, no, we're not letting in trolls.
Okay. Melanie said I sent you a video from Breaking Points on Discord they think you could use. Great show as always. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll check that out. Anything else, Jen?
Nope, that's it. I want to thank everybody for this Kill to Gift goal. Appreciate you. So.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And if you want to join us for our members-only events, so make sure you're a paid member either on YouTube, TikTok, or Twitch. I did see some people say that you thought you were a member on TikTok and you're not anymore. It's because my main account got banned. So if you want to be a member on TikTok, you'll have to rejoin on this TikTok. You may need to go to your account and make sure that you're not paying a subscription still through TikTok. I have no visibility on that account. We can't log into it. They don't pay us any money anymore. So I don't know if you have to cancel that on your end. I have no ability to do that. So I apologize. Other than that, guys, merch is available in the bio. I'm also on Cameo. And conservatives, if you or somebody you follow wants to have a debate about anything that I care about, please reach out. We would love that. And until I see you guys tomorrow, go outside and touch grass. If you can't touch grass, smoke grass. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to your friends and your family. Say nice things about yourself in front of the mirror every day. Affirmations are important, and they go a long way to shape your brain. If you are in a cult, get the fuck out of that cult. Maggie says, I miss you. I miss you too, Maggie. If you don't think that you're in a cult, challenge yourself. Challenge your beliefs. Find somebody who thinks you're in a cult and have an open conversation, and don't be defensive. Try and be use logic, not emotion, not whataboutism. Challenge your own beliefs, and then challenge mine. Show up every day and challenge my beliefs, whether you like what I say or don't like what I say. I appreciate it. Stay hydrated. That's a good point. Drink lots of water. Put your boots on, and then put those boots on the ground. And until I see you again tomorrow, take care of yourselves. Stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.